How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Tour Life. Today is Tuesday, July 1st, and boy, do we have a good episode for you guys tonight. Potentially, I don't know at what time, but Ezra said, let me read you what Ezra actually said in the text, because I said, I was being respectful. I said, I'm assuming you're going to be passed out by the time the podcast starts. He says, if you don't want me on, you can just say that. I said, you going to be up? He says, I have no idea. I've barely slept since Sunday morning. I definitely can be up, though. I said, well, if you're up, call in. So we should be potentially getting an Ezra call at some point. I think Mike's on that as far as whenever he pops in. And as soon as he pops in, Gary, we'll have him on and discuss. I know you have a couple questions that you want to ask him too. I've got a bunch of stuff too, and it should be a good time for everyone involved listening. Yuli was not, Gary, able to make it. He texted me and said, "God, this was like 2 hours ago." He's like, "Guys, I'm passing out. I can't do it." So hopefully we'll have him maybe for the next week, or potentially for those that don't know, I believe it's a 5-hour time change. So I think right now it's around midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. Potentially next week, we might have to film early, and it might be like a pre-recorded situation to get everyone on here. But we got Gary tonight. Gary, how's it going, brother?
It's going great. Speaking of 5 hours, that's how long I spent in the car today. So I'm ready to sit here and talk some disc golf. But no, happy to be here. How are you doing? Fresh off the tour.
2 a.m. here in Norway, says Thor. Shout out to Thor. Shout out to all our European listeners too. We appreciate and love all you guys. Thank you so much. Big Germ actually asked me. I don't even know if I need to look it up again to see what the answer was. He kind of threw me on the spot during that Creators Cup and asked, like, hey, when was the last time you played on tour? And I was like, it's actually a great question. I don't know. So last year, my last event was D-Glow. My last event was D-Glow in September. So almost 10 months basically since I had played an event. And if you remember too, I played Worlds and had a DNF because of wasps. Got a bunch of, or ground hornets. I don't even know what they were, but they were really bad and I hated it. But yeah, I mean, it was good to be back. It was cool to see a bunch of people. Obviously we had a full house in our Airbnb this week, which was awesome. So Garrett Everson was in town playing the event. Judah came in, which is Ezra's brother, who was caddying for him. And then obviously Ezra and Gossage were there as well. And then also Hunter and Trevor came in for the Creators Cup. So we had a pretty big house. And before Ezra comes on, I kind of just want to recap my week a little bit and jump in, Gary, too, to give me your perspective on the spectator side and watching it. I'll start with the Pro-Am first. I don't know why we don't do this more often, but the Pro-Ams are awesome. I think it's a VIP package only, which I would love this to be not – I would love it to be like maybe a $20 thing that you could almost a la carte, right? You could buy just that. It seems like right now only comes if you buy like the big VIP package, and this is like a part of the big bundle. But I played with a couple guys. We had a great time. I think there was like 13 pros or 12 pros, something along those lines. It might have been like 7 or 8. I don't know. I might be way off there. But we broke up. We played the entire course, and we basically did like best ball. So we played my shot. I played my disc the entire way. They played captain's choice, so they would take the best shots. So pace of play was great. It was a lot of fun. Winning team got $50 or $100 gift cards to the Disc Golf Pro Tour store. So it was all in all a great time. I would love to see them do this at more events. I think it's a great way for, players and fans to interact with each other, get to play, and it's just a great experience overall. I don't mind it at all. Some courses I could totally see it being a little bit too long, doing the full 18. So maybe it could be similar to what they do in golf, where I play with a group for 9 holes, and then Ezra plays with the group for the back 9, right? And you switch off, you only do 1 9. But overall, Pro-Am, a lot of fun. And I will always be doing that whenever the Disc Golf Pro Tour reaches out and asks if I want to do it. And shout out to everyone that, I guess when you sign up, I guess you say who you want to play with. So the people that wanted to play with me, shout out, had a good time.
Yeah, that stuff's a lot of fun because I think back to the times I've been to a Pro Tour event and I've done like the play with the champ stuff before, and getting to spend time in an intimate setting and watch pros play and get a chance to play with them, or even just to tag along and walk the course while they do it, is such a unique experience. And I think it's a very easy way to add value to spectators coming for the weekend, or especially those who are making the trek out there early. It's almost like a reward for thanks for coming out to support the first couple days of the event. Yeah, I think it's a huge value add.
Yeah, and I think in the future too, letting people know that, I guess maybe on the Pro-Am side, it might. No, you should have fans come out. Honestly, you should have fans come out. I think it's a great time to be able to see some pros, interact with them. It's a little bit more of a casual situation. So I think fans actually should be able to come out to that. Let's jump into the Creators Cup. So I'll give my experience on how it went. And then Gary, you can let me know, since you kind of watched it online and you got the online experience. Playing it was a lot of fun. Pace of play was pretty decent because it was alt shots. So you really only had, 4 discs in play at one time. I think they tried to incorporate some kind of like wacky stuff, with the wheel on one hole. I don't know if I would do that again for like the entire hole. I think you could do something fun with like a random disc, right? Where you like stick your hand in a box and you have to pull out a random disc, and that's the disc that you have to throw. I think that didn't really play that well in person. I mean, it was cool to see maybe Yuli throw a grenade for the first time, but I think they could do maybe something different. I think the fan experience that they had on hole 16, where we picked a fan, I think that one would be also better if we got to pick the fan to play for us. I don't know why they did it this way, but they made it to where we were picking a fan for someone else's team. That didn't really make any sense. There's obviously some teams that were picking people that they thought would do poorly, and that's why they were picking them for the other teams. I don't think that's what we should be doing when we look into a crowd, trying to figure out who's not going to throw well. I think we should be trying to find someone that we want to root on and cheer on. And ultimately, we did end up doing that for everyone, right? There was a lot of fan support for the people that were chosen, but I think you pick for the player that you want to have play for you. I think that would be a better result there. And I'm trying to think. Otherwise, I think it was pretty good. The banter was pretty good on our group. We were kind of talking a little bit. So I think overall, from the people that played in the event, from especially the creator side, whether you want to call me a creator or pro, I don't really care. And then from the fans that were there watching live, everyone loved it. Everyone thought it was a smash hit. And I kind of heard some things, Gary, that didn't really necessarily translate to the live coverage of it.
Yeah, there were some, I think, logistical issues to the way it was structured that could have been solved. I think the biggest mistake that the tour can make is to not do this again, because it is, I think, a really unique idea. They could have a lot of fun with it, but they need to tweak the way I think it's structured. There are a couple of issues in my mind. The 2-card thing, I think, is difficult. If you're asking me what would have been the perfect setup of this, it would have been 6 pairs mob golf on the same hole. I think you drop a couple of the people. I think there's some people who are a little less interesting to watch in this particular event. I also think that having 2 groups or 2 different pairs on the same group play different tees and baskets is confusing for the fan for no reason whatsoever. So I think you got to eliminate that stuff. I think having 2 back-to-back special holes can make it difficult, because now you're bouncing back and forth, so you never get to see all of the shots on the special holes for both groups. So spacing them out a little bit would be better. And I think even the spectators in person might like that better, because maybe they want to watch the first group play the first special hole, walk back to see the second group play it. But I think the way they set up the the banter between the cards, I think that went really well. I think that maybe a little bit more education to Terry and Germ would have been helpful as commentators, because it did definitely descend into being treated a lot like the actual Pro Tour rounds, where it almost felt like the worse a group did, the less we saw of them throw, which is not the way it should go. I mean, realistically, if you're thinking about it from a business perspective, there were creators there who were bigger than others. And if you're the tour, you've got to get those guys on camera. There's no reason in my mind that we should see Jay Milley hit a big putt on hole 1 and not see him throw until like the 8th hole of the round. And not get some commentary with him. So it's really, I think, important that they create the narrative. So if they do like one card of 6 pairs, it moves a little bit slower. But if you do it over 12 holes, you can keep it moving, keep it very entertaining. You can bring both of the crowds together into one larger crowd. And I think you can build a lot more fun narrative between the groups. And you could even have 2 commentators where one kind of walks with some people, one walks with others. So logistically, I would give it like maybe a C plus. It was still a lot of fun to watch, just in terms of the shots and some of the storylines, like with Team Cinema Club was, I mean, just those guys together between Broderick and Silas was very, very entertaining. I felt bad. Germ was ripping on Robbie C a little bit hard there in the beginning, but I think that the groups that understood the assignment, and it was fun to watch them do that. And there were a couple groups that maybe could have done a little bit better, but I would have knocked it down that way to make it a bit more logistically, I think, easy to handle from a viewer perspective.
I think this should have 100% been a post-produced product. I don't think this is a live product. I think that's the biggest change that I would like to see in the future. Have Germ down there or Terry or whoever to pull interviews and stuff like that. And you don't have to show all of them, right? Some of them might have not been that great. And so there you can pick and choose what you want to watch. You're also will be filming every shot. Some shots you don't have to show. Some shots you can show, you can always show, right? I think there was a lot of not knowing the timing and the pacing, and that can all be solved post-produce. And then you can also throw in whoever in the booth to commentate and to fill in the gaps that maybe weren't filled in during the actual event. So to me, I think that's where they should do it in the future, post-produce. And I think I agree with you too. It would have been insane had like Simon been on our card as well, and Gannon, and had the big crowd with everyone. That would have been pretty nutty. So, but I agree. I like that they did it. I like that they tried it. I think next year, do it again and, make some adjustments and make some changes. Definitely bring it back, because I know the people that were there watching it, they loved it. So need to do more of it.
Do you like this being a special thing at like this particular, at Pickard?
I think it has to be. Oh, you're saying like do it at another course. I think you could do it wherever you wanted. I think it definitely needs to coincide with a tournament though. I don't think it'd be as successful standalone.
An event.
But I could see it. I mean, USCGC, Maple Hill. There's a lot of courses that I could see it. You could pop out onto and play. Preserve would be a good one too.
Yep.
I think a lot of courses.
I think Preserve and Pickard are great, because I was talking to a number of people, and this is the part of the year where I think a lot of fans get a little fatigued. And so to have something special like this brings them into an event, because some people could argue that the Preserve can get a little boring. And some people can argue that Des Moines can get a little boring, even though, like, if you really understand the course and what they're doing out there, it really isn't boring. So it's a great, I think, time of the year to have it. It'd be kind of cool to see this happen like a couple times during the year, and maybe like the top 2 teams from each grouping, they meet up at MVP.
All right, Gary. I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna disagree with that. I think this is a one-time thing.
You think once a year?
Yeah, I think you start doing it too many. I'm out. I think, don't do this match play thing like they're doing right now, where they're doing these matches and it's going throughout. No one cares, right? No one's talking about the match play. No one cares about the match play. I think I think you set this apart from itself,
Mm-hmm.
and it's this one-time thing, and I think people get excited about it. I think the content creators, they are looking forward to hopefully getting their name called and they get picked to go and do it.
Yeah.
And we also might see bigger names. You know, I mean, obviously there was a lot of big names playing in it, but I think we could potentially see bigger names, better people that might be on coverage on the pro side as well. So I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Anything else from Creators Cup that we missed? Other than Gannon just kind of take Jay Millie and Gannon power team.
Yeah, and also Gannon hitting the big putts while getting squirt gunned was pretty impressive, and just goes to show you that this idea that people have to stop moving in the background so pros can putt is ridiculous. Because if Gannon can do it while getting shot with a squirt gun with water, then everyone can focus up a bit.
I love that. I love that. All right, should I talk about my tournament rounds now? I think there was a couple, like 2 or 3 people that wanted to hear about it. So maybe discuss it for those 2 or 3 people that were curious what went down if you weren't able to come out and watch live. Shout out first off to everyone that did come out. I'll always say this. I love Des Moines. The amount of support that you guys show me up there, not just from the staff. I mean, because the staff's always very, very nice, but the crowds up there, the amount of support you guys show, I do really, truly appreciate it. And I got to say, obviously, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I get that. But I think a lot of people do respect me, and I respect them for being great fans of the sport, showing up even when it was super hot out there. It was one of the hottest Des Moines that we had. It was really causing some issues for some people. Crowd still showed up. It was awesome. And it was great to kind of have some conversations with some people. And, you know, even just the caddies, the same caddy I had last year for Saturday came back. He's like, hey, can I caddy for you again? Yeah. But then another guy just showed up. He's like, hey, do you need a caddy for Friday? I was like, let's do it. And we had a great time. So big shout out to all the people. If I continue to play disc golf, I will continue to make an effort to go to that tournament because I absolutely love it. All right. So let's talk about round 1 first. Round 1, we actually had a really good, interesting card. Yuli was on the card as well as me. You had Anthony Bondanza, who is kind of trying to do what I did a few years ago, right? Kind of jumping on, trying to be a professional disc golfer, making YouTube videos about the journey and all those things. So I kind of know what he's going through as well. And then our 4th was Mason Ford, who had a top 10 finish here, plays really, really well here. Really, really good player. And so we had a really good card. We actually had a decent crowd come watch us that first round. And we had a good time playing. Bondanza says he doesn't like playing with you, Brodie. Care to expound? I guess that's his opinion. I don't know.
No, he didn't say that in his video. He didn't say he didn't like playing with you. He said you still make him a little nervous because, you know, you kind of came along in the YouTube game, you know, for a while. He also says you're the fastest player he's ever played with.
Shout out to the actual fastest player, the only person that's ever played faster than me. Shout out to, where is he? Oh, hopefully I don't have to scroll too far. Hopefully he played well. There he is. Corbin Milcheski. Shout out to Corbin Milcheski, the only person that has played faster than me. Corbin Milcheski. Shout out. Love that. Pace of play king. Okay, so round 1. I'm coming into this tournament with 0 expectations. I'm coming into this tournament with 0 goals. I'm coming into this tournament. The only thing on my mind is to play loose and to try to have fun. That is it. As far as how much practice and how much preparation I put into this tournament, I played a tournament week. I played Worst Shot Triples, which is on YouTube. You can watch that. I played the Pro-Am on Wednesday, and then I played 12 holes at the Creators Cup on Thursday. Outside of that, I didn't throw any discs. I think I maybe putted 5 or 6 times before each of my rounds, just real quick, just to get loose. Outside of that, the only other times I've practiced has been on YouTube. You guys have seen it. Any videos with me and Kelsey, that's me practicing. I'm not going really to the course and playing off camera. I'm not really putting in the backyard like I used to. I'm not doing any of that. The reason is because that's what led me down this path in the first place of not truly loving disc golf, right? And looking at it as more of a job versus, hey, this is something I enjoy doing. So I knew going into this, Gary, that I wasn't locked in. I wasn't the most prepared person of all time, but I knew that I have a decent skill set in disc golf.
Mm-hmm.
I also knew that disc golf isn't really that hard. And if I just play smart, throw decent shots, make some putts, I'd do all right. Well, turns out, Gary, Friday, a lot of things went wrong. A lot of things went wrong on Friday. So just to give you some stats here, I had 7 OB shots on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
3 of those 7 OB shots, Gary, were layups. I was attempting to lay up to then throw my next shot. I believe it was hole 14, that par 4 that plays over the little ravine.
Mm-hmm.
I hit, I threw my sidearm, hit the tree and dropped. So now I'm like kind of in the fairway, no chance to attack the green. Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to throw like a little 150-foot turnover forehand just to land kind of a little bit further down where normal drives go. I almost landed inbounds on the other side of the ravine, Gary. So a lot of my distance control was not there for some of those touchy shots. Which was bad. So that was bad. I also missed 9 putts on Friday. I believe 7 of those or like 5 or 6 of those putts were right at circle's edge. And then a couple of them were inside a circle. So, you make 4 or 5 of those, the round's not as bad. You don't throw your layups out of bounds. The round's not as bad. And then I had my first 4 putt, I think, of my career. Hole number 15. I'm in the woods, try to make this like, straddle putt off the cage, roll down into the trees. Then I try to make this other super tough putt, rolls back another 30, 40 feet into the trees, miss that putt, tap in for a 4 putt. I mean, obviously at that point, my round was not going great anyways, but when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I made 2 8s. I don't think I've ever made 2 8s in the same round. So overall, I'm sitting after round 1, Gary, plus 8, practically in last place. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, that wasn't fun. I think I remember texting Kelsey. I was like, okay, I think I actually was just enjoying disc golf because we were spending time together. I don't know if I'm actually liking disc golf. I think it's maybe just me and you are doing it together. And that's why I'm thinking it's fun over these last couple of days. And we'll have to hold out for round 2 and round 3 because we got the champ. The champ is here. The champ is here.
Hey.
The champ is here.
Oh,
I don't remember what episode it was, but I remember we had you on, and I think we were joking around about like not having you back on until you won. Because we were giving you pity invites, basically having you come on. But it finally freaking happened, man. It finally freaking happened. We're like, 48 hours after it's happened? What's the thought process? Has it soaked in yet? Have you, like, what were we thinking here?
I'm not, dude. I don't know. Here's the thing. I've only slept like 3 hours since since Sunday morning, and I was on a plane. So like not great. We didn't sleep at all on Sunday night. My voice is still gone from all the yelling I did on 18th basket. And it's mostly settled in at this point. I mean, there was still times when like I was just trying to make an Instagram post because I'm a little late with that. But I'm like looking through the pitch holes and stuff and like trying to write out like what I want to say and stuff. And like there's still times where like it'll hit me and like I'll get like a little emotional. It's like, man, I just like a baby, dude. It's like it's just too much, man. But
yeah,
I'm getting back a little bit back to normal finally.
I think we saw that true emotion kind of show tapping in on 18 there. And I think it's fair to say, flashback a few years ago, had you won, let's say like the Las Vegas Challenge, right? 2 or 3 years being on tour, you go out, you shoot a hot round, you're in the mix. Had you won there, I don't think we would have saw the same emotion. I think we would have saw a little bit more of, the Ezra of the tip of the cap. Like, yeah, I almost aced the whole 5. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. And it would have been kind of,
I know you hate that,
cool, calm, and collected Ezra. But I think we saw the emotion come out. And, there's some people asking, like, how do we see more of this? How do we get more of this? Well, you need to get athletes that actually care about winning and succeeding and perfecting their craft. I think that's really ultimately what it comes down to, is you want people that are putting their effort into this thing. And when they get the rewards, that is what overcomes you. And that, I mean, do you have any, like, kind of just, if you can explain, because we saw it happening right when you kind of realized, oh my gosh, I did it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So kind of walk me through, like, what was kind of going on with you and Judah at that point when you're on the 18th fairway.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the round, like, it's impossible to not, like, every now and again jump fall too fall and think like, oh my gosh, I could actually win this thing. So like even on Saturday that would happen every now and again, but it was pretty easy to like fight that off and be like, no, I gotta lock in, I gotta focus, I gotta still play good, win this thing. And then we get to 18's upshot, and like 17 I'd almost messed up. 16 I just went OB. I made a big putt on 15, but it's like it was. From my perspective, it was intense the whole way. Like I had to, I felt like I had to try to execute every single shot. I had no idea what squalls were. I felt like I was beating my card, but I had no idea other than that. And that was just a feeling. I wasn't keeping score at all. So we get to 18 and I get out the gap, thankfully. And then I asked Jude, like what we should do. Cause I didn't know squall. So I was like, hey man, I was like, what should we do for the shot? He just said, we don't need Brodie. So then at that point, then we're just kind of like, okay, let's just chunk up. Show me crying. Come on now. Yeah. So we're like, let's just chunk a Nuko S forehand around the tree. That's like a pretty stock shot. And we'll just try to get Paul. He's like, you'll come up short, but you can just lay up the putt and then we'll be fine. So at that point, it's like, okay, I've got to just execute one shot. And the mind's crazy, man. The mind's still like, don't freaking like wrist roll this OB or don't throw it all into the tree. Just it's like an easy shot. Like my forehand was good all week. But those thoughts still pop in the head. So then when I got that second shot inbounds, I got the green flag. And then like when Ezra and Evan gave me fist bumps when I like picked up my disc, that's when it was like, oh my gosh, like that's it. I'm gonna actually win. And yeah, then that walk was pretty. That walk up to the final tap in was pretty crazy. Just like a lot of emotions, a lot of just thoughts going back to how long it took to get here. Oh, that was Brad. Heck yeah, that's the
did you at a certain point were you like about to send him in flight here, like a cheerleading?
He thought I was gonna throw him into the woods. But no, like you said though, like if I'd have won that false like Vegas tournament where I popped off like my second year on tour, I don't think the emotion would have been there because they wouldn't have had time to like build up to this. Sure. I've had so many tournaments that I've obviously lost. I've lost every tournament up to this point. I've had a decent amount that were close, and yeah, it's just all that finally building up to it, and then yeah, tapping that in on 18. I wanted to just let it out and feel the moment.
Yeah, for those that don't know, because I think the commentators, when I was watching live, I think they didn't know who Judah was, which I thought was kind of shocking because he's been on your bag quite a bit. But for those that don't know, Judah's the kind of a caddy too that he's like he will never show really emotion, right? And so he was probably perfect in that situation of where you're like, clearly you're like, I don't want to look at scores, right? You didn't look at scores. You didn't know where you were. Obviously, you knew no one really other than Evan Smith was making a little bit of a push, but you still had him beat. And you probably, after that start, you were probably thinking, hey, it's mine to lose at this point. Sure. And so like he probably did a great job of just even keel, right? Like just keeping you level, not being like, oh my gosh, we're like getting so close to winning. Like just keeping it super. And like, how important is it? You mentioned a little bit about calling him up and saying like, hey man, I need you out here. I've gotten close a couple times. I need you on the bag. Talk to me a little bit about your guys' relationship and how it meant to win it with him being on the bag.
I'm trying to get me to cry here, Brodie.
No, hey, that's a good interview question. That's a good I'm doing a good job here.
Let's go. Come on. Hey. No, it meant so much. We had to have him on the bag. I mean, he came out in 2022 and cared for me all season. My game wasn't quite as good back then, so we didn't give us as good of a chance to get a W. And man, our relationship, man. I mean, he's the person I'm the closest with. You know, we grew up together, like just super close. I mean, I think I gave him my speech impediment, unfortunately. So like, you know, we're as close as it gets. We would compete all the time in freaking like video games on our phones and sports, golf, everything. And I think he's actually the better competitor. He was always better than me at golf. And so then to have his mentality and his mindset like that all in the bag with me is a huge advantage. I mean, like you said, he's stoic the whole way. And I think he does a really good job of knowing what I want to. I don't typically talk a whole lot through my rounds. I try to just kind of stay just deadpan and locked in and focused and not let any, you know, like, it kind of sounds bad, but like positive emotion get too like riled up. Like I almost aced hole 5 and I tried to make sure I stayed low because I didn't want to get too excited and let things slip. And he does a good job of just kind of matching that energy and being there when I need him and keeping up pace with me because I do kind of walk fast and he's always right there to give me my disc. And then obviously, you know, decision making, he's fantastic at that too. He knows all about disc golf and watches shots, and he has fantastic pulse management skills. So it's a benefit to just bounce ideas off him when I need to, and just that little extra confidence boost on, you know, it's just like, oh, we got a little headwind here, also just keep on highs on, you know, just gives me a head nod and a yes. And yeah, so it's a huge help. And you know, like I said, I think you texted me, I think it was like maybe 2 months, it might have been Kansas City. Oh no. I got top 10, so it must have been, oh my gosh, it must have been OTB Open. I think all the Champions Cup where I got 8th. And he texted me just, you know, saying congrats, like, you know, good last 2 rounds or whatever it was. And I was like, heck yeah, man. I was like, I need you out here so we can get to that next level. And turns out that is what I needed.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, having a caddy that you trust on your bag is such a benefit. And I think we saw that from the 2 winners this week. We saw it with you and your brother, and then we saw it with Robbie C, actually, who you got to play with at the Creators Cup.
Yeah.
He was caddying for Cadence. And I think, you know, speculation here, but I think Robbie C now in the bag, I think Cadence had a stretch similar to yours. Yours was a little bit earlier in the round. Hers was later. And Robbie C was able to kind of help get her out of that. So I do want to talk a little bit about the round itself. But before, like leading into this tournament, was there anything that was like new that hadn't happened in a while that like you could think of that maybe helped you get in the mindset to maybe go out there and win? Was there anything out there that was different than what you've seen so far this year?
Yeah, so that is a good point. I do want to shout that out actually, because so a lot of this season, you know, just like the people that I travel with has been kind of mixed around and a little bit different and everything. And so it was really good to have Jeeves, I think, in the house with me this week. And I think Dr. Jeeves had a huge impact.
Dark Horse Dr. Jeeves in the house.
Exactly. Dark Horse Dr. Jeeves.
It was funny.
Maybe you had impact, you know, being there like old times, you know, making it comfortable.
No, I
didn't. Dude, in practice, man,
that was all you.
My practice rounds did not go very well. Obviously, the conditions were a lot worse in practice rounds. It was windy and hot, but my practice rounds were not good. I think I only had one round where I had like a decent like 9 or 10 holes, and other than that, it was just not great. I put a different Nuke OS in my bag just to have one extra, and then honestly, what a huge help was. I'm not even sponsored by this company, but Chump Chalk Bags, man, that helped me so much because the heat and the grip and the putting was like impossible for me up at Resolve because we had kind of similar conditions with the heat. And putting the Chump Chalk Bag chalk on my actual puddles, it was an actual game changer. And I mean, yeah, that's gonna be huge for the sway tournaments for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that struggle with, you know, just being able to get their hand dry. You know, your entire when it's so hot out there and your entire forearm is sweating down into your hand, it is so important to make sure you have yourself a dry hand. But no, it was awesome to kind of be, you know, the OG Airbnb group all back together. I remember I believe you went out and were throwing after your round on Friday for a little bit, and Jude, or like you were late to come in. Jude came in first. And I looked at him, I was like, is this the week? Is this the week that he's going to do it? He's like, I don't know. We'll see. And it was awesome to see that finally happen for you. For those that don't know, I mean, you'll hear this a little bit later on debate night. We kind of talked about your progression. You're someone that was pretty good at disc golf when you came on tour. You were already pretty solid, but you saw that you had holes in your game. And
Yeah.
all you guys have to do is go back and watch some of our early practice rounds, and they're there. You can see them. They're blatant right there. And you were someone that instead of just saying like, hey, this is who I am as a disc golfer, you said, no, I'm going to go out and figure out how to throw a hyzer forehand. I'm going to go and figure out how to scramble in the woods. I'm going to go and figure out how to putt from circle 2. And these are all statistics that you drastically increased over the years. And even looking just, I think this stat that we have pulled up for you right here, this is just last year to this year. This isn't even going back a couple years. You're 14% up in birdie rate. You're 4% up in fairway percentage, 14% in C1 green and regulation. You're 26% up in scramble and 5% up in circle 2 putting. So you can just see right there, your statistics are continuing to grow. And I would say too, like your biggest growth period was probably, last year. I think last year is when you made a huge jump, and that's when we started seeing you kind of get more consistent. And then this year, I think you're putting all the pieces together that you've uncovered. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I would disagree with that kind of. I think almost all of the improvements that we're seeing on those stats kind of come from how bad of a season I had last year. I missed Pro Tour Championship for the first time in my career last season, which was pretty. It's just like, man, so dejecting. It's The end of last season, the last like 5 months of 2-0 were just miserable. I feel like I couldn't get a decent placing. If I had a decent round, the next one or the next two would just be horrible and pull me back down. And I can remember we were up at the MVP Open, I think, staying with Adam and Anthony and Austin and Yuli and kind of that whole group. And I was kind of just talking to Yuli about it and how kind of depressing it is to play that bad. And he's like, yeah, I was like, as pros, like we need these kind of we need these seasons sometimes. Like we need these to kind of motivate us. And he's obviously a savvy vet, and what he said was true. Like I came off of that season so much more motivated to fix things in my game and make big changes that I needed to make. And it really, kind of lit a fire under my butt for how bad that season was. And so then like this last off season, it just became so much more focused. And like this season, especially, like I feel like I kind of became a student of the game again. It's pretty easy just to kind of live the seasons on like cruise control and just go through the motions and go to the next course and practice a little bit and throw the shots and kind of turn your brain off a little bit and just keep grinding it out. And this season's been so much more enjoyable to play. It's like, like finding out new parts of the game that can improve myself. Like the pre-cock with the forehand has been a huge one. It just made it so fun to throw forehands for the last like month and a half. It's made my forehand game so much better. And that's a big reason I think why we were able to win this tournament. It's the big forehand course. And I think like the putting, like even the chalk, that was a fun thing. Backhand, I figured out how to be more consistent on backhand shots and Anheuser backhand shots with getting like the spin down and the spin right up, I guess, with my wrist. And so I've been a lot more in tune with like specific aspects like that and just been a student of the game. That's been a huge help. And so I think that's a big reason why like we're seeing the big improvement from last season to this season.
Yeah, and I think something that's really interesting is when I play practice rounds with you, I think it's maybe changed a little bit because obviously we were doing worst shot, but in the past we
got a comment, and somebody was like, it's like these guys aren't good enough to play wall shot triples, which I think is hilarious now because like I got the dub, Goose got 6th, you played really well the last 2 rounds. It's like it's just so funny when people comment stuff like that, and then.
What really hurt me, Ezra, was the first thing I thought of after shooting +8 the first round was we took all of my worst shots, and if I actually threw a good shot, we had to take Ezra's bad shot or Goose's bad shot, and we beat my score by 5. That's really what was going through my head is I played a full 18, and anytime I threw a good shot, we couldn't take it. We had to take someone else's bad shot, and somehow we still scored better than what I just did. But the point I was making was we were and I think we're still this way when we're breaking down courses. We're trying to figure out what the best shot is, what the best shot for us is. And the biggest development I've seen with you is just the confidence. Back in 2022 or 2023, even we would get to a hole and it seemed like you were trying to figure out what you should do. And now it's like, you know what you should do and you just have to execute it. And I think that's such an advantage when you are confident in the shots you're about to throw and know you can pull it off versus the other side of being like, is this a forehand or is it a turnover backhand? And now I feel like you have that and you have this win under your belt that should give you even more confidence going forward that you are on the right path and you are doing the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think getting the win solidified it for me. I feel like I thought that I could win my entire career. You know, like I don't know if there was a tournament that I ever played. Even like my full season on tour, I felt like I could still win. It took a long time now. It's taken a little over 5 years to finally get it done, which is way longer than I thought it was going to. But it is nice to cement it and prove it. And yeah, the confidence is definitely a big thing for sure. And like I think my game's developed to where I can be confident in the shots and like truthfully confident. You know, I'm not lying to myself with throwing the forehand or lying to myself with throwing the turnover backhand. Like I know I can execute the shots. Yeah. And then it translates to actual improvements in score.
So I had a take that I thought your first win would come from behind. I thought you were going to be 1 or 2 shots back going into the final, 9 holes and just playing really, really well and coming from behind and winning. That was kind of, gun to my head. That's what I thought was going to happen. Here, you have the lead coming into the final round, and then you just, blitzkrieg the start of the course, shooting 5 under through the first 5, birding every single hole. You made a huge putt on one. I know you didn't love the second shot, but a great putt. It did kind of sneaky in there, but hey, we freaking take those. They count.
We do.
Then you hit the base on hole 3, which I'm sure you love the sound of that being.
Oh my gosh, bro.
That was coming in high. We know that was coming in high, and it's just 50-50 on whether it's staying in bounds. And then you almost ace freaking hole 5. So you just have this insane start. How was that for you? Like, kind of just throw a hypothetical out there of like what happens to Ezra if he starts 2 under through 5 instead of 5 through 5, and you don't really expand on your lead. Do you see that being like a little bit more of a stressful round? Do you start pressing a little bit more?
Oh man, I don't know if I would change my game. I mean, it's hard to say. It's like I'm playing every single hole out there for Brodie, so it's not like I would be like trying to play for eagle on any hole.
Sure.
I feel like I've tried to just keep it going. I mean, obviously, before the round starts, I'm like, this could be the best day of my life if I play good today and win, And then I'm thinking like, well, I want to win by 6. I want to have a fantastic start, fantastic middle, and fantastic end. And I want to just absolutely obliterate. I want you the course record in the hot round, and I want it to be the easiest thing ever. And so then I start out 5 for 5, and it's like, this is literally how I imagined it. This is what I had in my head. This is perfect. And then obviously it slowed down a little bit, and then we had to make it interesting for the fans back at home and battle a little bit. But yeah, that was the dream start. Obviously, I wanted to get those birdies and to see my card mates struggle a little bit. As a competitor, you love to see it. As I'm kind of close with some of these guys, and so like on that side, it's like you can empathize with them, and it But as a competitor, no, it's like I wanted to birdie every single hole, and I wanted to see bogeys fall from everyone else. So
yeah, I think you showed. Pretty good growth though, because I think we have in the past seen you press the envelope a little bit when you get behind the 8 ball in a round, or you feel like you're kind of getting behind the 8 ball with some of your shot selections in the past. And here I was worried because during hole 6 through 9, you shoot 1 over par, right? Now, obviously, hole 6 is a toughy little birdie there. You got to have to throw 2 decent shots. Hole 7, I don't know what it is with you in that hole. Just throw a power forehand next year for the love of God. Please stop trying to throw. Was it a passion? Did you throw a passion? I
threw a passion the full 2 rounds and I parked it. Okay. It was a bad shot on the 3rd round. It happened.
It was a passion. As soon as it started going like nose up fading, I was like, you threw a freaking passion.
Yes, I didn't snap my wrist enough. I didn't get the spin and turnover. Okay. It was bad. It was horrible.
But because I was really worried there a little bit. I was like, is he going to start doing something stupid on hole 10 to like press the issue? And you did it. You just played the hole perfectly fine. Hole 11, kind of were a little sneaky on the left side there. And then you went 4 birdies in a row and got right back on track. 16, it happens. You hit that tree. It's a coin flip of whether or not it stays in bounds or doesn't stays in bounds. You got boned, but then you freaking birdied 17 right after. And I think at that point in time, I was like, all right, he won this tournament. And it was awesome to see, because I'm glad you won this way though, Ez, because I think had you won where if you just went out and shot 12 under, no bogeys, I don't think we would have saw. I think this is a better win for you, because now I think you know that you can win when you get into this position, even if you have a couple slip ups. And I love that.
Yeah. And I think, like, well, first of all, why did you think I was going to get my first win from behind? I'm curious as to that.
I thought, well, I mean,
sleeping on the lead. Like,
what happened with you this round, which I thought was interesting, is like, you were like, I don't want to know the scores. Like, you weren't paying attention. You were just focused on your game. And I thought that's what needed to be happen. I thought you need to be in a situation where you're like, listen, I have to go out and shoot really well, and I could win and win it that way. I thought your first one, I think it is challenging to be the front leader and having everyone chasing you. And the fact that you weren't looking and seeing that Adam was like, basically could do no wrong that round. I mean, we'll talk about his round later, but his round was insane. And I think to get your first one, I mean, I think it's the hardest one to get. And now that you have it, I think now you can win in any position. And I think, I don't know. I just thought that you needed to kind of be laser focused. And the fact that you didn't look at scores, I think that was a great, I've talked poorly about people that have done that in the past, but on a course like this, and Jude obviously was looking at scores. He kind of knew if you need to press the gas. I think that was a perfect situation.
I think for me, it didn't change my play on any hole if I knew the scores or not. And so, like, that's partly why I didn't go to look at it. And I felt focused and locked in. So I was like, I don't need to.
17, it could have if you threw a bad tee shot, but apparently you threw the greatest tee shot on that hole ever.
That was a dream. Yeah.
Which kind of hurts, man, because I threw one next to the tree up there and I was like, dude, I'm like 185 feet from the basket. And then all of a sudden I see you and you're like 5 feet from OB and I'm like,
a little scary.
It was a little scary at first, but I'm sure when you got up there, you loved seeing that second shot. But I mean, 18, I think would have been the only other play too, is if Jude was like, no, we have, if you were out of position and he was like, we have to get this up and down. Then obviously,
but like, still the good tee shot would still be the same.
Yeah, good tee shot.
I'm thankful that my mindset was really strong this tournament. Like from week to week, it varies a little bit. Sometimes it's harder to find the motivation mid round. Sometimes it's easier. And this week I was, gifted, I guess, a little bit better willpower and maybe a stronger mindset. Well, we did get to that little middle stretch where I had those bogeys, or the one bogey, I guess, and 1 over through 3 or whatever it was. And I had the thought of like, man, I just bowled every other hole in the course. I'm still $1 million under par on this round, and I had a 2-stroke lead. I'm probably still leading this event. I'm still going to win this thing. I've played these 3 bad holes. Everyone else has already had a few bad holes. I'm still in the driver's seat here.
Yeah.
I think that mindset helped kind of right the ship again and get me back on track too.
Yeah.
But honestly, so as far as like the sleeping on the lead thing, I was thinking back to like my amateur days, or like my off tour pro days, if you want to call them pro days. But my last win before this one was an ATO where I had a lead going into the final round, and I had to sleep on it. And I think that happened a couple times in my career, and I'd won with that position. So like if I was in the solo lead going into the final round, I would win. So I think that honestly helped a little bit too, even though it was like 5 or 6 years ago. I still had confidence from those. So this was my first time actually having the solo lead going into the final round. Cascade, I had the shared lead, so not quite the same thing. But yeah,
you might be a front runner.
Yeah, I mean, in my off tour days, I had some come from behind wins too. So we'll see. Obviously, there's a little bit easier when the competition's not, as insane. If it's on tour, it's like if you're 3 strokes back going to the final round. Off tour, it's possible, but on tour, it's pretty tough.
Yeah. Gary, do you have a question?
No, I wanted to say I think this win really speaks to the growth that you've had over the time that you've been playing, because you've made comments in videos before about just being able to complete like an entire event. And we're seeing as disc golf grows, you have to be able to stay locked in from almost wire to wire nowadays, because there's always 2 and 3 people ready to kind of jump down your throat. And there were 2 moments in the final round where you kind of broke your, stone wall face there. And that was in that stretch there in the middle when you had that bogey and you punched the ground. And I think my living room shook when you punched the ground. But I want to ask, when you have moments like that, because we've seen in the past where you've had a moment like that, and then in this event you kind of grow past it. Are you the kind of person who compartmentalizes that feeling of like, you just mentioned, I know I can birdie the rest of the hole. Are you locking that down and saying that hole is that hole and it is what it is? Or are you the kind of person that takes that as fuel to move forward and then do better on the next hole?
I don't know. I think I've played so many rounds, and most of them don't ever get seen by anybody. And most of them, if I'm in 15th place or whatever it is, even if you're on like 6th place, nobody sees it. And I've had so many rounds where I have a good beginning and a bad middle and a good end, or a good beginning, a bad middle, and a bad end. It's like I've had pretty much every situation happen. So I don't know. It's hard to say exactly what I do depending on the week. Obviously this week I bounced back, but it's all honestly it just comes down to throwing good shots again. So like I've thrown good shots where I've been super pissed off because of the bogey on the hole before, and then like I go bogey the next 4, and I've had ones where it looks like it gets to me and I bogey the next 2 or whatever it is, and I think that's just kind of the way the game goes. There's a lot of variance as far as like hitting your shots, and whoever kind of hits it right and throws the most good shots and makes the most putts is going to be on top. It's really nice to finally have that hit a little bit.
All right, you ready for some the hard hitting questions? The questions. Oh well, let's do your attributes here because it's been a while since you've been on. So let's see what your attributes are looking at. Shout out to Edwin Stats putting this together. We've got Ezra's attributes, his attributes, however you want to say it, his Madden rankings, if you will. Scoring is 94, power is 98, accuracy at 91. Scramble at 88 and putting at 91 gives you an overall of 93. That's a Disc Golf Pro Tour rank of number 5. Your ratings on there. Not sure why, because I don't care about ratings. And
thankfully my DGPT rank doesn't either, because 1027 doesn't really go to 5th place very often.
But yeah, there you have it. I think that's pretty solid. I mean, scramble, you get a little bit better at scramble and you're in the 90s on everything, which is pretty rare. I think you have a pretty well, I mean, this pretty much shows, I think your game is pretty well balanced, right?
Yeah.
It really, top to bottom.
I mean, it really came together this week. Like even this season's been kind of up and down as far as like all that goes, because the first half of this season, my putting was the strongest part of my game by far. I think I was leading C2 putting and maybe second in C1 putting at a certain point. My putting was just nuts. And then I went to Kona Piste and it kind of just went away. And then my throwing started being really good and carrying me through. So I've actually been able to have good finishes this season, kind of with different parts of the game, kind of carrying me through. And then this week it was nice to have the throwing locked on point still, and then the putting catch up a little bit and get back to that. I guess that 91, yeah. So
Edwin wants to know who put the stats together. He goes, how does he feel about 98 power? Does he feel he is right behind AB? AB, I believe, is the only one at 99 right now.
There'll probably should be a little more separation than just 1 point, but I feel like I'm in that second class. I feel like Anthony's kind of in a class of his own with distance, and then there's a handful of us at 202. Yeah. So maybe he should be 100, and then I can be 98 still.
There you go. All right, time for the hard hitting questions here. Have you eaten any beans out of the trophy yet?
Here's the thing with the trophy though. I only get it for 1 year, and I got to give it back for the next guy. So I don't really want to answer that question.
Okay, fair enough.
No, I have.
What?
I didn't take my full shot out of it though.
So yeah, I was gonna say, what was the reasoning to go vodka for your first shot, and how was it?
So we had this bet, 5 years ago, whatever it was, when Adam and I we played a few events together, and he kind of stayed with me in the RV or whatever it was, and so we had this bet going, and throughout the next couple of years, then it got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna do a vodka shot. I don't know what it is about vodka that drew me to it. I think maybe I thought that it would burn the most and just suck, and I would hate it and never want to drink again. So yeah, somehow vodka became the one. And then whenever I tell people that, they always think I'm crazy because they're like, that's like a horrible false drink. It's the worst. So the shot was so underwhelming. It was not bad at all. I I don't know. I expected it to like bowl in my throat, and it went down like almost like water. It seemed like.
Is vodka the one that, like, if you get really nice vodka, it's not bad. If you get cheap vodka, it's really bad. Is that the liquor that does that, or
maybe that's what it is? They were all saying it was like top shelf, so they were all saying it was smooth and like good, so it wasn't as bad, I guess.
Okay,
but then I don't know. Podcast.
Yeah, I'm not. You're talking to the wrong guy over here.
Well, me too, Brodie. I don't know. You know,
I do Washington apple shots if I ever want to celebrate anything, and that's a mixed drink. That's not even supposed to be in shot form, but
I also want to say I don't intend to like be somebody who like drinks alcohol consistently at all. Like I still think alcohol is bad
every time you win,
unhealthy and all that stuff.
Yeah,
every time I win, maybe I'll take a shot.
How did the third shot taste? That's what everyone wants to know.
I think the third shot. So I did actually do a few more. I ended up doing more than I thought. I think I did 5 shots total in the night. 2 of them were tequila. One was like a Rumpelmint, and I think the third one was
a what?
Was a Fireball? Rumpelmint? I don't know. It's some minty one that. I don't. It's like a minty one that they do in like Finland or whatever. So they were like, "Oh, let's do one of those because we're going to be in Finland soon." I don't know, but I think the third one was the Fireball, and it tasted kind of good. Like it didn't. It didn't bone.
Fireball tastes like Big Red Chew.
Maybe it was like cinnamon
bubble gum. Yeah, I love me some Fireball. Yeah, that's some good stuff. All right, next question. This is actually coming from one of the fans. They want to know, does Ezra have any haters? We've seen a lot of people congratulating, a lot of positive stuff. Have we seen anyone coming out still? You know, are there any comments being like, he's still trash? Are you seeing any haters now, or is everyone kind of has no room to talk? Everyone's
I haven't really seen much. Haven't really seen much hate. I feel like this shut him up a little bit. I mean, I don't get much hate at all to begin with. Like I do feel pretty blessed that the disc golf fans are nice to me. You know, like I think it seems like most people are pretty nice in general.
Oh, we just need to start doing more videos together.
Yeah. Well, I get comments saying we don't like Brodie, but not for me, so I don't know what that is.
I'm a good shield. Shield.
Or so like, oh well, he's not as bad as that guy. So
we got to do the meme where it's just like you're laying on the bed and I'm taking all the shots in the back. And it's all the haters.
But I would see like a handful of like negative comments, you know, throughout the seasons or whatever. Nothing too crazy. But yeah, I haven't seen anything too bad from this. There's been a million comments. It's crazy there's so much support. And like it's just crazy. It's like so many people are happy and excited for me, and I just feel loved. It's like it's pretty incredible.
Well, I think too, like the emotion that you showed, I think that's so relatable. I think people want to see that. And I don't know why people on tour are so afraid to actually be emotional, afraid to actually show their true feelings, because that is what really connects people. And I think seeing that from you and Judah, I think that brought a lot of people together, and like you probably gained a lot of fans, honestly, because it shows that you actually do care. It shows that you actually are out there and you're putting your heart on the line when you play these things. And I think it's a great thing.
Thanks, man. It is kind of tough trying to like find the balance of like being stoic and like robotic kind of in the round, not letting things affect you. Because man, it can be tough for me sometimes. You know, like you said, I punched the ground on hole 8 or whatever it was, and that's usually like the direction I go with my emotion in a round. If it's a bad shot, I go negative and get angry and pissed off. And I don't know. It's interesting playing with certain people. Like the last 2 rounds, the cold mates that I had, man, they're just so like it seemed like they just didn't show any emotion at all. You know, like they had their bogeys and doubles and stuff, and you know, it just seemed like they were just carrying on as if nothing happened. And I'm like, man, in my head, if I'm getting that bogey or that double bogey, I'm the guy punching the ground. I'm the one who's like cussing to myself because I'm so pissed off because I care so much and I wanted it so much. And then that's obviously what you see at the end there.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Speculation hat. I'm wondering if a lot of these players that we're seeing grew up in the Paul McBeth era and saw Paul McBeth pretty much show no emotion until towards the end of his. I mean, we did see some of it, like when, you know, obviously he made that epic putt in the playoff at USDGC. You do see it a little bit, but like he was always known for like McBeast and like locking in and not doing anything. I'm wondering if a lot of players that looked up to him were like, that's how I need to act on the course. I need to show nothing. And I don't know. I think the way to do it is whatever is most comfortable for you. Because I think when you start trying to hide stuff and not show it and whatever, I think that's when you start getting uncomfortable with yourself and potentially make more mistakes versus you. I mean, I think you gave a little fist pump on hole 15's putt. That was a tough putt. That wasn't easy.
No, that one, I was telling myself for that putt too. I was like, this might be the putt that I need to make to win. You know, I put some extra pressure on myself for that putt, and I mean, I'll do little stuff like that throughout the round too.
Yeah, we're not saying like you should be like fist pumping a birdie putt on round 1 and hole 6 and being like, like time and a place. But I agree with you. I think it's interesting watching people just be like robotic out there. I don't think it's great for the fans either. I don't think fans like watching.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing too. Like when I'm walking up hole 18, it's like I know I'd won. I was like, what am I going to do here? Like, like I have all the crying emotions basically. Like I'm like a little baby out there, but I have those emotions welling up inside me. And I'm like, I've seen people win before. They kind of just do a little hat tip and wave. And it's like, it's usually when it's like a third or fourth win or whatever. And so it's like, that's a little more understandable.
Sure.
I was like, I don't know if I'm going to win my first disc golf Portugal event ever again. This is the only time I'm going to do this. People say the thing of like act like you've been there before, kind of like play it down. I was like, bro, I've never been here before. This is my first time. I want to be excited. I'm excited, and I'm going to show that. And it seemed like it resonated well. It seemed like the fans liked it, and it was just so exciting. Everyone rushing. It was so fun. It made the experience so much better. I felt like
the act like you've been there before. I think a lot of that has to do with like team sports, where like an individual will do something and rather celebrate with his team. He's like doing a celebration by himself. I view that a lot of times as like, right? But in this situation, it's an individual thing, and you just accomplish something. It's almost like equivalent to accomplishing like running a marathon for the first time. And it's like how weird would it be for the struggles is imagine like being injured and not being able to do it and canceling and all this, and you finally do your first marathon and you just like walk to your car and get in and drive off. And you don't do any sort. I don't know. I thought it was natural. I thought it came off like, I thought it came off well personally. So if anyone's giving you a hard time for that, they can, send them my way. I'll give them a little pop. All right. This obviously was your number one goal, right? Your number one goal was to win, to get a W.
So technically,
here we go. Technicalities. Here we go. All right.
So I can just think back to like when I was like watching Jomez like 7-8 years ago before I think decided to go pro, or maybe like right when I decided to want to go pro. My goal was to be like that top level player where you're always in contention, kind of. I think at the time it was like Paul, Ricky, Eagle, like Simon, maybe Will, Kevin, like some of those guys at the time.
Sure.
And so my goal was always to like be that player. I didn't want to be the guy who got to 10, 20 and then just plateaued and then just that was their career. And it was scary for a while though, man, because like that's what happened to me basically. I got to like 10, 20, 10, 30, and it plateaued for a few years. And so I was like, that was my biggest fear on the sport, kind of. And then this is obviously a huge step in the right direction. And winning is obviously like, I feel like with that other goal, it's guaranteed, kind of. Like if I reach the goal of being in contention all the time, it's guaranteed to get the wins. So it's obviously a huge step in the right direction, and it's massive goal though.
So your next goal is just to be more in contention regularly.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, goal. Like the season that I've had this year is pretty close to where I want to be. This game is the amount of enjoyment that I have from like top 10 versus like top 20 and worse is like night and day. And so if I'm in top 10, top 5 in contention, obviously, winning is like infinitely better than anything else, even now that I know. But being in contention and actually like, well, shots matter and like you feel that pressure and you can't fall asleep at night and like all that stress and all that stuff. That's what I kind of live for. That's what I'm out here to do. And so that's what I'm looking for. And I feel like I'm way closer than I've ever been this season for sure.
Fifth on tour.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Gary, did you have any other questions for Ez?
Well, one of the questions I definitely want to ask is the other Ezra got his first win this year, and he talked about one of the hardest things for him is the expectation and how it changes after you get your first win, and how people now view you as a winner, and how that puts this extra pressure on you. Like how is like obviously you're just fresh off this. You haven't had a lot of sleep. You're going to get turned around here in Europe is going to go crazy. But like, how do you deal with that new conversation you have to have with yourself? Because you're now a winner. So you have to have a different conversation with yourself about winning.
Internally, I don't know if a ton changes because I don't know if this sounds cliche or dumb or whatever, but I felt like a winner before. Like I felt like I was a winner. It just hadn't happened yet, basically. And so now, like it's proven, and now I guess everyone else knows now that that's I guess who I am or whatever. So the expectation from other people might change. I feel like people maybe used to just look at me as like a YouTuber who plays disc golf on tour as well. And I want to be a player. I'm trying. That's the top goal. So we'll. I don't know. I don't think I care too much. Hopefully, of what other people think or what their expectations are. I'm gonna just try to keep pushing for the goals that I have and.
So you're canceling the YouTube channel?
No, I'm not canceling the YouTube channel.
Okay,
but
going all in on.
I mean, we haven't even. It's. We've had.
I'm a winner now. I don't got time for YouTube now.
We filmed today. On no sleep. We already got the round out. But it's like I'm not filming two videos every single week. I don't want to like. They can't be my main focus. Like if it gets to a point where it's taking away from the play, then it's like we gotta dial it back. And I think we're on a pretty good spot with it right now.
You can't leave because your ad break transitions are probably top tier in the game.
Hey, we're having fun with them.
Now that you're a winner, do you have any new pet peeves? Anything that has now come to your attention of like, well, before I was a loser, I had all these pet peeves, but now I'm a winner, and now my eyes are just open.
I don't know, man. Maybe Chase called playing slow. Like, what is that? What the heck? Pick it up. I don't want to have to wait. What's going on?
Was there a little bit of waiting?
We had a little bit of waiting the last 2 rounds. And I had really fast card mates. Calvin plays incredibly quick. Ezra plays really quick. Evan's fast. So like we had a very fast card, but we still have all the media and all the fans and all that stuff that kind of could add some time to the round.
Yeah.
And we still had some backups.
Well, shout out to Life because I feel like they're doing a better job. Watching live, I didn't see that you guys had backups.
Cool. Like, yeah.
So
maybe I was also impatient too. Like maybe it was like a minute and I felt like it was 10 minutes. Maybe my mind was just.
Yeah, you're in the Inception. You're in like that other world, or no, not Inception. You're in Interstellar, where they go to that world and he comes back. He's like, it's been 85 years.
Yeah. His daughter's like a grandma now. Yeah.
All right. Any shout outs? You want to give any shout outs? Now's your time. Shout out whoever. Thank whoever.
Thanks, Brodie. I appreciate you giving me that time.
Black Rock, Black Ice sponsor.
Black Ice, yeah. Not Black Rock. What the heck?
Whatever you got is Black. Isn't Black Rock like a fun?
The monetary thing. Yeah, there's like some conspiracy theory stuff with that though. I think they own that. They own everything.
All right. It's too early for that. Yeah. Now you got the.
Thanks for the opportunity. Yes. Thanks for the opportunity. First of all, I will give a shout out. Well, I'll give a shout out to God. Everything's, I'm not doing anything myself, y'all. Like I said in the interview, it's like if it was up to me, I would have won a long time ago. It's not my timing, obviously. But I want to give a shout out to Judah, obviously. Man, was it special to have him there. It's like I've known him my whole life, and to have him on the bag with me every single step this weekend was insane. So like that was so cool to share that with him. Shout out to my parents for raising me the way I was raised, and I don't know, just I've everything as well. My family, my friends. Shout out to everybody who has watched the YouTube videos, Instagram reels, any kind of content, social media that I put out and try to entertain people, and comments and all that kind of stuff. It's so cool to have so many people rooting for me, and all the love and support that I feel this week is like it's so overwhelming. It's crazy. I have so many DMs that my Instagram was like not working. I wanted to post a story like right after my win, and I couldn't do it. It was like my whole like account was like frozen. I had to restart my phone just because there was so much interaction, I think. So that's insane to see. People that have been following me since like I was living in a Prius. I know some of you out there that have seen me since those days. So thank you to you people. I know it's been a long time coming, and so I'm really happy to finally get it done, and hopefully it's exciting for you guys as much as it is for me. Let's see. Shout out to my sponsors, of course, Discraft. Man, we got some good discs out there. They help me play the game well. It's awesome to have the people that I walk with be like friends at this point. It's really special to like have that connection. It's not just like a business transaction anymore. Same way with all of my sponsors, honestly. Squatch is the same way. The bed company, they reached out to me back in 2020, I think, and then we've been working together now for a long time as well. And that's a fantastic, just an incredible relationship that I continue to have with them. OTB Discs as well. The OG, the false sponsor to pick me up and kind of take a chance on me. So they've been with me the whole way. And so it's nice to finally get a win for them too. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's about it. Brodie, thanks for staying with me this last week, man. You might have been the key.
The escape room, man, I think that put you in the right mindset. Pissed you off that we were better at the escape room than you.
I was like, we don't get mulligans, brother. I don't get a mulligan out there. Why should we get tips in the escape room?
You're like, we got to go out there and get it done.
Heck yeah.
But hey, I know. Obviously, we're a huge pro Ezra podcast here. You've been on the podcast a couple times, and a bunch of people listening live and listening in the future. I know everyone's super, super happy for this win, and I just gotta say, man, I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you,
buddy.
You got it
done. I'm glad there's actually something for you to be proud about. It's actually real now. It's not just a joke. And, hey, man, I'm happy to be on the podcast with an actual win. I feel like I've come on a few times. I used to like put it off. I would like tone it down. I'm like, no, I got to get a win first. And then I came on a few times, and it would just be like, like, oh man, I thought this was gonna be the one. Jones was like, oh man, I thought you were gonna throw your forehand right into the water. I thought this was gonna be the total you win. But it's nice to actually come on and like actually like the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm proud, man. I got nothing to say. I got final round. You did great. There was no complaints on my end.
Heck yeah, there we go.
All right, we'll try to get some sleep. I know it's weird over there because it doesn't get dark at all.
It's 3:13 a.m.
And let's just say it is nice. Yeah, it's wild over there. It is nice that you have a little bit of buffer because I think, obviously you want to win every tournament you play in, but Sula Open, if you had to pick between that or a major, you're probably picking a major. So you got a nice little buffer before the majors. You're hitting well. On the bag, people are the bag, hold my bag. Number one picked player. Bag, yeah. Right now, I know you're probably going to be another heavily picked player moving forward. And so get some sleep. Appreciate you jumping on. I know everyone really loves hearing everything that you had to say. And, next time we have you on, it might be a 2X. Who knows?
Hey,
who knows?
I love that.
All right, brother.
Okay, I'll keep going. Thanks,
Good
man.
luck,
Thanks for having me.
Enjoy your time over there. All right, take it easy.
Thanks,
there you have it, everyone. Your Discmania Challenge presented by True Bank champion Ezra Aderhold getting it done. Gary, it wasn't that long ago that people weren't even pronouncing his last name properly.
Yeah, I know. He looks so happy too. That's the best part about it all.
Yeah. It's all. I say this. I say going through a whole bunch of crap and having to deal with a whole bunch of crap and being able to persevere and make it through. Man, it's so sweet on the other side. And you can just see the amount of effort, time, energy that he's put into this craft, and for it to finally all come together. Man, it couldn't have gone to a better guy. So shout out to that man. And who knows? Maybe a little wedding bells in the future now. I don't know if he's still watching, but he probably just laughed at that. All right. Let's we got a lot to roll through here, Gary. So let's keep the train going. I left off at my abysmal round one. I'll quickly just kind of go through round two and round three. Round two, I missed 2 putts inside the circle, had 3 OB shots. Round three, I had 2 OB shots. One of them, again, was on a layup, which was really there. See, he's in the chat. There he goes. And I had 4 missed putts. So looking at it, Gary, I ended up having 13. I had 15 missed putts inside of 40 feet. So the question is, do I need to actually practice putting? The answer is yes, but do I want to is the problem I'm going to have to talk about. But all in all jokes aside, it was fun being out there again, man. It was.
That's good.
And I kind of proved to myself because really at the end of the day, that's kind of what I'm doing right now is I'm just pretty much just doing this for myself. You know, I had 2 solid rounds. I shot 5 under and 7 under. I somehow, after shooting 8 over the front round, was able to get back to under par. And I think I ended up shooting like 12 under in the last like 24 holes or something.
Yeah,
Something like that.
if you take what you averaged there in the last 2 rounds, if you pull that off in the first round, you're top 20.
Yeah. So with limited practice, I feel pretty good. I think a lot of it has to do with my body too. My body felt great. Wasn't getting tired out there. Felt strong. I think a lot of my layups going OB is the fact that last time I played disc golf like seriously was I was a little bit smaller or a little bit heavier and not as strong. And so there's all these things that are kind of working through. But the body's feeling good. So all in all, I will say it was a positive. I liked it. It was fun. I'm looking forward to the next one, which I believe is Idlewild.
Yeah.
I believe
you're a 2-plate guy. That's probably why a couple of those upshots went a little long.
Yeah, shout out to all my 2-plate people out there. Anyone that's benching 225 up, let's go. All right, let's talk a little bit on the FPO side here, since we just talked about or do you want? Let's wrap up on the MPO side since we talked about Ezra, and then we'll go FPO. What a performance by Adam! I mean, this guy's insane. Coming off of a 1 under round 1, pretty abysmal round 1. Just looking like he was throwing a lot of OB shots. I think he had 5 OB shots 5 OB shots in the first round. Just terrible round 1. And then follows it up with a 12 under to just kind of get himself back into position a little bit, but then puts on an absolute show the final round, shooting the course record 14 under par and putting a little pressure on Ez. Like, had Ez not birdied hole 17, you know, if you don't get out that gap, Gary, on 18, a bogey is in play. And now all of a sudden you got a playoff on your hands. So big shout out to Adam for making a pressing there and having a great final round. Evan Smith, there might not be a smoother player right now than Evan Smith, Gary.
Yeah, he's sneaky good. I mean, just the way he does it so under the radar too. I think he kind of is getting that title of like Mr. Sneaky or Mr. Unnoticeable, because the way he plays is so clean and smooth. And I saw someone mention here earlier that his forehand looks like old school Paul McBeth back in the day, which kind of goes back to your point that maybe some of these younger guys are, kind of coming up on that old guard of people. And we're seeing that talent really form itself.
Yeah, his forehand reminds me a little bit of actually Albert Tom, with just how slow of a delivery it is. Doesn't have the same mechanics, but just the slow delivery of it. And then it just fires out of a hand. He played through us on hole 6 in one of our practice rounds. And it just looks like he's going to throw like a 300-foot forehand. And then it just rocket ships out of there. His forehand is super smooth. I think the best way of describing his game is no wasted movement. Everything that he does is for a purpose. This kid is good. He's getting better. And this is another person that you need to put on the radar to watch out for, because he's had a couple good finishes. I think he won that one tournament, which was like the Lakers championship that they won in the bubble, where there was only like 30 people. I think it was that silver event in Montana where I think there was like 4 FPO players at. But he's been sneaky good for a very, very long time.
Oh, yeah.
And another person that's been sneaky good for a very long time, and also very good on forehand dominant courses, which this course, if you have a big forehand, definitely helps. Sullivan Tipton. This kid is the real deal as well. Shoots 10 under the final round, finishing in 4th place. Really, really good kid. Really solid game. And forehand is just freaking dynamite, man. He launches that thing. The way that he throws his forehand on hole 7, where it's like actually giving it an ace run, is insane. Insane power. So shout out to Sully over there. Corey Ellis, nice. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're kind of going to what I was saying. You could see it here. If you look at the leaderboard, Ezra, Adam, Evan, Sully, Corey, and Aaron. I mean, forehand was a big thing at this course.
Yep. Corey Ellis with a great showing, finishing in the top 5. Gooseman with a great final round, shooting 10 under, moving up 5 spots into 6th place. Noah Meitzma went berserk mode. He birdied every hole on the front 9 except for 9 and number 2. Ends up shooting 11 under, 23 under for the tournament, tied for 7th. Mason Ford, super smooth player as well. Top 7 for him and Calvin. Calvin, a little disappointing there. Final round. We thought maybe he was going to be a little bit more in the equation. Just kind of got off to a slow start. Was even par through the first 4. Everyone knows on this course you kind of got to get off quick and early, and just never really got it going. Finishing out, Gavin Babcock always plays good here. Top 10 for him. Jaden Rye, another great. I think this is back-to-back top 10s for Jaden Rye at this tournament. So shout out to him. Isaac Robinson also in the top 10. Gannon Burr got off to a slow start, and this is a tournament, Gary. Yeah. You can't have a bad round.
No.
You just can't afford to have. I mean, a bad round out here needs to be like 7 under par max, maybe 8 under par, and he shoots 4 under. And finishes it with a solid 10 under, but it's just not enough. Not enough. Going down the leaderboard, there's some names on here if we want to say any of them. Not really. AB was the defending champ, I believe. Not a great tournament for him. Again, bad start. 2 over par to start the tournament. Just not going to get it done.
No, it's weird. I feel like that's happening where he just has an event every now and then where it's like he's just not, I don't know, he just didn't show up to play. But it's a really interesting, like when you look at the top 10, you see a lot of names there who Sully, Evan, Corey, Goose, Noah, Mason, and you get down here eventually and you hit Isaac and Gannon and Macbeth and Ezra. I mean, big shout out to my boy Lucas Oberholzer Hess, the second year on tour, finishing 18th. It's pretty awesome for him. But
there you go.
Yeah, one of the things I was curious about is is this course, why is it that more people who are less common household names are performing really well here? It almost kind of reminds me of like the Idlewild effect, which is we get a lot of really unique leaderboards. But I will say, even last weekend, we got a really unique leaderboard with the MPO. So we're really seeing MPO get kind of shaken up here, which is great.
Yeah, I think the reason that Idlewild's kind of wacky sometimes is the fact that, one, the course doesn't demand a lot of distance, so it brings a lot of people into play. And then the second thing is tree kicks on that course can make or break you, right? And so there is a lot of flukiness when it comes to having a bad kick can cost you a couple of strokes, which, brings kind of the field together. This course, I wouldn't say that necessarily is the case. I think distance does definitely help you on some of the holes for sure, but a lot of those holes are tough to get, even if you can throw far. And there is no real flukiness to this course. This is a pretty non-fluky course. I would say the only flukiness maybe comes for a couple of the tee shots. Hole 11's a blind tee shot. The second into hole 6 is a blind shot. There's a couple blind shots, but outside of that, you're throwing to pretty much open spots. You hit the gaps, you throw good shots. I think the reason why we're seeing a little bit of a different leaderboard here, and one of the reasons why I've also kind of had some success in the past here, I think I had a top 10 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I think I had a top 10 finish here. It's normally really windy. And there's a lot of OB, and there's a lot of how aggressive should you play to these baskets. And I think we're seeing that some people play better than others, when it comes to that decision making on how aggressive do you want to be. And the players that aren't playing good, like other courses, Gary, there's certain players that I'm like, no matter what, he's going to play well, because if he's throwing the disc poorly, he's going to make putts. So it doesn't really matter. Here, if you throw the disc poorly, Gary, your putt will not save you because you were out of bounds, right? I mean, we saw it from Isaac, I think it was Isaac, right? He went double OB on hole 5. Tournament's over, right?
Yeah.
Like see you later. You're out of it. And, we saw Andrew Marweed double the first hole. And I got to say, at first, I was a little bit hesitant to these changes, right? We're talking about hole 1, double Mando. Hazard short of the basket left. Hole 2, they pinched in the OB. Hole 3, they pinched in the OB on the right-hand side by the basket. Hole 10, pinched in the OB for the third shot, or for like the second landing area. Hole 14, what did they do on 14? Oh, they added OB left of the basket.
Yep.
Hole 18, add Mando, pinch in the OB. After playing it, Gary, I love it. I love it because it's adding score separation, and that is what we're seeing here. We're seeing the fact that Gannon can go out and shoot a couple under par and then shoot 10 under. AB can go out and shoot 2 over par and then shoot 9 under. We're seeing score separation. If you throw bad shots, you get punished. Now, could they do more? Yes. Like, should hole 8 be all hazard short of the wood line? 100%. If you turn your disc over on hole 8, you should not have an easy 200-foot chip shot to make your par, right? So there still is a lot of things they can do differently, but they're headed in the right direction, and I love the changes on this course a whole lot.
Especially since you like green stuff, because it feels like a lot of the bad rounds out here were predicated by poor C1 and regulation, because a lot of the greens didn't feel like ones you could take big risks on. Putting in from C2 was really, really dangerous. I mean, how many baskets out here had a slope or some kind of elevation to it that just made it, I think, a little bit more technical in terms of what you were able to do around the green.
All right, FPO, shout out Cadence Burge, folks. She is the real deal. The hype is real. Finishing top 3 in her last 3 events, one of those being at a major, and winning her first event here at the Discmania Challenge. Also, shout out to whoever did the trophies. I'm glad they are much more respectable and ones that you would actually want to showcase in your house. So shout out to Cadence. Great play. And like I kind of mentioned earlier, there was a stretch, Gary. It was a lot worse than Ezra's stretch of where she went bogey, double, hole 12 through 14. And at that moment in time, I'm thinking, oh boy, the pressure's getting to her. She 3-putted a hole that, or 3-putted. Normally she wouldn't do that. She's throwing some tight shots. Here we go. And she plays really well down the stretch. She's birdies the last 2 holes. She plays 3 under through the last 4. And what I'll say with this is disc golf is such a putting game. Putting is so important in disc golf. It is multiplied by 5 in FPO.
For sure.
Outside of Evelina on certain courses, putting is so freaking important, and she's one of the best. She has now kind of solidified herself as one of probably the top 5. I think Silva's up there. I think Owen Scoggins is up there. I think Kristin is up there when she's putting well. And I think she's probably the next name I'd throw on the list.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the things that was kind of crazy to see is, and something you would almost expect, is a lot of eyes on Holland with this event, being that you've got a very kind of broken down field. And she just, during that stretch that Cadence struggled, she did not take any opportunity to step on Cadence's neck. She, kind of let that wide open there. And putting is just, I think I mentioned it on debate night last week. There's only one putter in FPO who putts over 85% from C1X, and only I think 3 who put over 80%. That was as of last week. So, I mean, the first person who kind of gets it and figures it, there's 4 now who put over 80%, and Cadence is now a part of that group. If I'm a young, FPO player like Cadence, I'm looking at the field, I'm looking at the way stats are kind of proving themselves and saying, man, if I can just take a little bit of what like Evelina's got with this really awesome throwing capability, and I can get my putting percentage up to even 85%, which would put her like perennially one of the best FPO putters probably of all time. Caden's going to be around for a long time, and she's going to be. This is not her first win, and she's going to be. There you go.
Oh, Deanne Carey, interesting. Okay,
yeah, which goes to show you because Deanne's I think like 30th on tour, so really it's not doing much for her. But I mean, you got the.
I don't think she throws far enough. I think that's
Yeah.
probably Deanne's issue.
Yep. So I mean, if Cadence continues to improve her putting game and just she seems like she's got the mental figured out. I mean, she struggled there in that little stretch, but she really locked in. And I think that upshot on 18 goes down in the history of probably one of the best FPO upshots, best upshots in general I've ever seen. It was very reminiscent to me of like Valerie Mandujano on hole 17 at Waco a number of years ago, into a ripping headwind. Just to see such a beautiful backhand touch in such a high pressure moment.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an easier shot. I don't want to. I mean, it's Valerie's shot was I'd say, yeah, I say skill level. Valerie's is probably a 10 out of 10. This was probably like if she had like a decent forehand, it'd be a pretty like she was far enough left that it's a pretty standard. It was almost kind of like where I was. Yeah. My final round. It's a pretty standard like spike 275, 300 foot forehand. But granted, I will say with the pressure there, you go OB long, you go B left, you bring yourself out of the tournament at that point because Holland just kind of lays up and chips around the corner and takes the W.
Especially because Cadence did not get the birdie on 18 in the previous two rounds. I think I remember them saying, and our boy Robbie's in the chat, that I think she used a like a driver or a fairway on that upshot the first and second round, and she I think went down to a mid-range on this third round to sort of give herself better power control.
I do want to shout out Brad in the chat right now. He says Gannon was talking about adding a Mando on hole 18 during the Jomez practice round to make it more punishing if you miss the gap. I think 100% hole 18 does need a Mando. Because my tee shot on hole 18 was in the best spot ever. And the reason it got there was because I got lucky through the left side trees. I don't think I deserve an easy birdie on hole 18 for missing the gap that I'm trying to hit. So I think 100% hole 18 next year, we're going to see a Mando on one of those trees on the left side, Mando right, to force people that if you don't get through the gap, you do not get lucky because I mean, I told all the people that I was playing with is like, I shouldn't birdie this hole. Like that to me is not right. Like it's one thing to shank a shot and have it hit a tree and then it parks you. Okay, luck, whatever. It's going to happen. You can't really do too much about that. But here you can actually make this not happen by putting a Mando. You cannot have people get lucky through the left-hand side. So I think I think that's what needs to happen. And I think it's more important to make sure we're not rewarding bad shots than like Adam, for example, said. I think Jerm made a good counterpoint. If you hit a tree and kick left, why not be able to scramble through there? So this is where it's like, I'm okay with someone getting unlucky by hitting a tree and going left and making it more difficult for them to have to throw through that Mando. If that means we're not allowing someone to get an easy birdie that threw a bad shot, I'm okay with that trade-off. I don't think we should stop people getting lucky and getting an easy birdie because of maybe someone getting a bad kick and now it's tougher for them. I don't think that's a good reason. I want to see good shots rewarded. I want to see bad shots punished.
Yeah.
Other things I got to talk about this tournament on the FPO side. Where is it? Okay. I think seeing the bounce back, we talked about a little bit from Cadence after 3-putting on hole 12. I think that was awesome to see. Going birdie on 15, 16, and 8 or 17 and 18. I think that was awesome. Holland was having an insane round that tournament. Her final round, she was 9 under through 11. Then unfortunately just hit a wall. Bogeys 12, and then pars 13 through 16, gets the tough birdie on 17, and then obviously triple bogeys 18. What were your thoughts with her second shot on hole 18 from a spectator standpoint?
That's a tough one. Obviously, I wasn't on the course, so I don't know how sharp her angle was. Part of me thinks she has the skill to throw the backhand turnover there and give herself, if, at worst, a long look to win, and at best, a chance to go into a playoff, as opposed to, I think, having to juice it, because it felt like if you were going to make that line work, she was either going to have to go really tight to the Mando or go really high with it to spike it. And that just, I don't know if the cards were right for her to do either one of those two things in that moment. I think she stepped up and she just gave it too much, and she should have probably tried to play. I mean, you can't tell a top competitor to turn it off and try to play safer. If that's your game plan, that's your game plan, I guess, but it is what it is. But I don't know, it just felt like too rushed of a moment, and maybe an extra thought would have been helpful for her.
So she makes a mistake firstly on the tee shot. The last thing you want to do is push too far up on the fairway and to the right. She threw a shot that was too straight and too far. I don't know if that's, changing something from previous, but the hole was playing tailwind with a little left to right. Yeah. So you're already going to have a hard time getting your disc to get left. And she just threw it too low, maybe too straight of a disc. Maybe needed to throw something a little more stable, because the FPO tee pad, Gary, is way up. I mean, it is 150 feet closer to the end of the trees than the MPO tee pad.
Yeah.
And so you can pretty much just like chip a backhand out there. It's really 17's tee shot's a little trickier than 18. 18's really not that hard. It's just, can you get left enough?
Yeah.
And to me, I don't mind the aggression of trying to birdie 18 to win the tournament. But I think my issue I have with that was the mistake here is this disc is going into the trees on the right. Right? You're throwing the angle that she's throwing. It's going to be a left to right, because it's kind of tailed down this, but she's angling off left to the Mando. So literally any turnover, big backhand, any spike hyzer forehand, the wind is going to help pushing that thing over. And so in my mind, I think there's one of those cases of where you're maybe too locked in on trying to throw it by the basket, when it should be, hey, I'm going to throw this thing 40 feet short and right of the basket.
Yep.
And I might have a 40-foot putt to win the tournament, or I might be in the woods. I might have to just chip out and make a putt to go into a playoff. But the last thing I'm doing is handing this win over by throwing OB. So it's just one of those course management things.
Do you think you
got to make the right miss?
Do you think she was pressured at all? Like, how much did Cadence putting it basically under the basket weigh on Holland's decision there?
I think if you tell Holland to make par from that position, I think she's making par 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a bad decision to try to go that aggressive and try to park it, when a chip forehand or a little turnover putter backhand, might have put you 40 or 50 feet away, but you're not giving the tournament away. And throwing that low, and that's one of the reasons why I love 18's new OB. Yeah. You're throwing it low like that. You're going OB early. And if it never comes back in, you're going to have to do, a throw in. So, but shout out to Holland. Didn't have a great start, I don't think, in this tournament. Yeah, shot 1 under the first round, followed up with a 7 and then a 6. So again, not finishing outside the top 5. I think she pretty much has solidified herself as the most consistent player on tour right now.
Yeah.
I think Kristin probably is up there as well. I think you can make maybe a case for Evelina as well. But Holland pretty much is playing every tournament, Gary. She's not skipping tournaments, and she's top 5 every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Just automatic. Want to give a quick shout out to Owen Scoggins. It's been a while since we talked about Owen. Kind of had a tough round. But even with that tough round, Gary, she was kind of still in it until hole 15, when she got a lost disc. Oh, we hate to see that. So ends up double bogeying hole 15 because of a lost disc. At that point in time, I think she was like one back. I think if she like birdies 15, I think she's tied for the lead.
Yep.
And that would have been fascinating going into the end.
I
But
thought she was going to sneak it in there. I thought, oh boy.
Good to see Owen start kind of getting in the conversation. Some good finishes here too. Rebecca Dawn, the Canadian, playing well. We've got Taylor making a lot of noise too, because I think when I'm looking at someone, Gary, I'm not necessarily looking at what they shot, right? When you're looking at a new player, you're not looking at their overall score. What you're looking at is how many birdies are they getting?
Yeah.
Are they getting a bunch of birdies? Because you can fix the bogeys, you can fix the OB shots. But if someone's shooting 2 under par, or excuse me, if there's someone shooting 2 over par and they get no birdies, it's like we might have a problem here. So round 1, Taylor had 8 birdies. Round 2, Taylor had 5 birdies. And round 3, Taylor had 9 birdies. So what that shows me is there's a lot of potential there. She's getting a lot of birdies. She's just got to clean up some of the stuff, right?
Yeah.
Too many OB shots, too many missed putts. She had 7 OB shots in the first round. First round was the windy. Actually, first round there was no wind, so that was actually the easiest round. Might be some jitters or whatever, but someone to keep an eye on. Very new player.
Yeah, she's been playing a lot with Calvin and Bradley Williams, so working a lot on that part of her game and the consistency. I know she said she's really trying to develop her backhand turnover to add that extra tool to the kit. So I mean, we keep seeing her do better and better in every event, and it's fun to watch what someone with a athletic background coming into the sport can do when they really kind of put their mind to it, and just makes you wonder what the ceiling in disc golf is.
All right, let's chop over to our friends over in Europe. They had the European Disc Golf Championship, and oh boy, did this have a lot for us to talk about here. We're going to start it with this. This is a clip from the end of round 3. Kristin Latt, is approximately 11 feet away from the basket. Okay, end of round 3, 11 feet away from the basket, and she is under the impression that round 4 is not going to happen. She is thinking that the weather is going to be so bad in round 4 that the tournament is going to stop after this round. So she proceeds, if we can find if we can throw the video up here of Kristin on the final hole of round 3, she proceeds, Gary, to lay up a 11-foot putt, thinking that it's for the win.
That's tough. That's
ends
tough.
up, ends up going into a playoff and ends up losing into a playoff. Do we have the clip of the putt potentially? Maybe not. Well, do we have the interview? Can we hear the interview? Oh, here's the putt. I mean, this is 11 feet, Gary.
That's tough. The wind's not even. I mean, I know the weather was terrible, but like, look at the bat. The chains aren't swinging or swaying. Like
hair's not really moving around. It's a pretty standard putt there for Kristin. So right there, that's a wild. To me, that's like a wild thing to do.
Yeah.
And then she ends up having an interview after that round, an interview with MDG Media, and we'll break down exactly what she says after we hear it here, courtesy of MDG Media. This is again after round 3, and she had just laid up a putt from 11 feet, assuming they were not going to play the final day.
In case they do cancel the round tomorrow, congratulations. You are the European Disc Golf Champion 2025. You've defended your title successfully. How does that feel?
Feels very good, especially after such a tough stretch. I don't feel like myself lately, and it's been a challenge for me to even play disc golf and to come out here and play very well and defend the title. It's above my expectations and everything I could dream of.
Well, congratulations if it is a victory.
Yeah.
If not, good luck for tomorrow.
Yes.
And thank you so much for joining us as always.
Thank you.
Okay, Gary, this was the first time that I think I've ever heard someone congratulate someone for winning something that hasn't actually been won yet.
Well, you're not listening to Ian and Philo enough on coverage. They do that all the time. But yeah, I get your point.
Fair point. I mean, she was probably kind of thrown off a little bit about that question, but it also was interesting that she also was like, oh, thank you for congratulating me on winning a tournament that I haven't won yet. Yeah, that was just a very awkward interview all around. But the one thing that we wanted to pull out, Gary, which I think a lot of people are maybe focusing on maybe a bad interview question and maybe a weird response from her, like accepting it, even though the tournament hadn't been over. She said something in there, Gary, that was very interesting. She says, I don't feel like myself lately, and it's been a challenge for me to even play disc golf. Something is happening, and we've kind of noticed it this year that she hasn't really been herself. She doesn't seem all there on the course, and I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. She's kind of hinted at this a couple times in social media posts, sometimes in interviews, and she just blatantly comes out and says it right now of like, it's hard to just play disc golf. So I'm not really quite sure what's going on with Kristin. This is a terrible time, I would say, for someone to say it's hard to play disc golf with two majors back to back in the year.
She looks tired. I mean, she just the layup putt and the way she answered the question, she almost entertained the idea of it more than you would think. Because I almost feel like Kristin in the past would be like, "Well, that'd be great if it did happen, but we're gonna get ready."
Yeah, job's not finished. Yeah,
but she just feels tired to me. And the part that I can't seem to understand, and I'm not her, I'm not who she's talking to, who helped make these decisions with her. I know this event is a particularly important one when it comes to like European disc golf. I would feel like now's the time for her to take a week off and rest. But if you look at her thing, she's signed up for every single event between now and the majors. Like, so she's just like doubling down on this. She talked about her she was having issues with her toe. She wasn't feeling great at the preserve and all that kind of stuff. And it's just maybe she's got to take a week off.
I'll say this. Coming back from a tournament, right? I haven't played a tournament in almost a year. Coming back from a tournament, I still did my 4 runs. So I ran Saturday 75 minutes after my round. I ran 75 minutes after my round. I ran 40 minutes before my round on Sunday. I still lifted on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I still did all my things, and I was fine.
Yep.
It's something outside of disc golf. Disc golf is not taxing on the body. It is not one of those things of like playing disc golf. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I just can't keep playing. It's so hard. It's not like football. It's not like the point where they literally have to put a bye week in football because people need it. Something is going on outside of disc golf.
Yeah, when I say tired, I don't mean like physically tired. I mean like weary. She just seems like someone who maybe it's the back and forth of United States, Europe, United States, Europe.
Traveling,
she's kind of maybe homesick with like family a little bit and her daughter, and just is at a point where she's feeling all the emotion of everything going on. And when you're someone in her case, I'm sure there's a lot on her shoulders with what she has going on in Estonia, basically being a celebrity there, that it just, and you go to 4 events in a row that feel like slipped from her fingers, that she just could have. Yeah.
Things change too when you got money in that bank account.
Yeah.
You start thinking to yourself, like, why am I traveling this much? Why am I doing all this? If the passion isn't there necessarily, things start changing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Very weird interview, but I hope we see the old Kristin back at the majors, Now, This was also posted by the tournament saying, due to weather conditions, the projected starting time will be postponed again. If the round can be played, it will be played with a shotgun and modified cut. Players joining after the modified cut, FPO positions, first to T14, MPO positions, yada, yada, yada. So they basically made a cut, shotgun start. They did a lot of things to try to get the round in. My question to you, Gary, in golf, there is a certain point in time where the wind gets so bad that balls literally will not be able to stay on the green, right? You put your ball down to putt, it starts moving. It's just too windy. Should there be should disc golf come up with a mile per hour of where if you have sustained winds over a certain mile per hour, the tournament needs to be suspended or postponed, or, similar to like lightning, right? Yeah. We're not playing disc golf in 50 mile per hour winds. Should that occur? Should there be something in the rule book that says something like that?
I think maybe. I mean, partially from a safety perspective, you got drives that can kind of get a little errant. I think back to probably the windiest tournament we've ever seen is your best tournament ever, is DDO a number of years ago. And there's a certain part of fans that are like, oh, it's kind of fun to watch them struggle a little bit. But then it gets to a point where it's like, this isn't actually fun anymore. And it kind of errs on that side of maybe dangerous in some way, shape, or form. But I think maybe we have to look into something like that. It was an interesting final round because for those who watched it live, you got to watch both the MPO and FPO lead card literally one hole apart. So they kept going back and forth between the lead card, which made viewing really interesting. But yeah, I think when it comes to things like wind that's really, really aggressive like that, and there were some people who really struggled with the wind, you get to a certain point where it doesn't matter how good you are, the wind just becomes a legitimate problem.
Yep. And we've got some clips. So the first clip that we're going to show is potentially one of the best shots that we've seen in disc golf history. This was Evelina acing the par 4, 407 feet in round 2, ended up making Sports Center as well. And this was an impressive ace.
Let's see what happened. I hope we have some footage. Let's Evelina Salonen, T of 12.
All right.
Is this? Evelina Salonen hits the ace on 12.
Again, it was last week when she last hit an ace in a tournament.
That is unbelievable.
It's not.
Just absolutely sick. And I got to say, I'm now thinking, Gary, I kind of like this as a drivable par 4. Like disc golf always is trying to figure out how do we make drivable par 4s. I like the idea of the basket sitting on a cliff or sitting on something, and how aggressive you want to be brings in that OB, or you can just launch it past 100 feet and then have like an upshot going in. Like I kind of like that as a drivable par 4, because that's apparently how this hole played, is everyone would just chuck a shot and have it go way past and then, come back.
Yeah, it's someone put it in the chat. It's very reminiscent of Garrett Gerthy's Ace Patros, which is a similar hole where you had like the bunkers on both sides. So you could play short if you wanted to, get a very easy birdie, or you could go for it. And I like designs like that once again go to what we always want, which is forcing choices.
So we go from one of the best shots we've seen in a while to, I think it's fair to say, Gary, potentially, well, first let's go to how not to putt in the wind. Let's go. If you ever wanted to learn and take a class of how not to putt in the wind, folks, this right here is how not to do it. See ya. I mean, that landed like she had a 10-foot putt and it landed 150 feet into the water. I mean, just wild stuff. Okay, so for those that are wondering, like, all right, well, what the heck am I supposed to do in this situation? there's a couple things, right? The first one is you actually want to putt soft. If you're actually trying to make the putt, okay? If I'm trying to putt into a 30-mile-an-hour headwind, I'm actually trying to make it. I am trying to have that thing get to the basket with almost no speed at all. And the spit outs and all that stuff, you see that from people that putt really hard, is because the disc gets into the chains and they always are going to swing. And when it swings back out, the wind is going to push it out. So if you actually are trying to make a putt, you got to go super spinny. So you're putting a lot of spin on it, but you're barely throwing it. You're barely putting any push on it, right? I learned this in Ultimate, because if you want to know how hard it is to throw a disc, go to the beach when it's windy and try to throw a 175-gram Ultra Star. See how good you are at that. You got to put so much spin, and it's almost like you're kind of breaking your hand, like you're breaking your elbow, because normally we want that full extension. Here, I'm not going full extension. I'm just snapping and kind of stopping the elbow. And that way you get a lot of spin. That's if you want to try and make it. Now, if you're just trying to survive, you get out an overstable driver and you throw that thing upside down. You can scuba it low, get on a knee, throw that thing upside down. Don't give it a lift plate to be able to launch, and just slide that thing up underneath the basket, tap in, and get out.
Yep.
There
Or if you're like in that 10, 12 foot range and the wind is that bad, play the averages on the hole and lay the first one up under the basket and just tap it in, because you'll probably gain strokes on folks watching everyone throw MTAs into the water.
And now, Gary, I think it is easy for me to say this is the worst shot in disc golf history.
What is Henna thinking now? How to get up there? You're not getting to the basket.
Is there even a safe way to lay up? Because you don't want to...
Oh, okay. You're not getting to the basket.
Is there even a safe...
Basket.
Is there even a safe way...
Basket.
Is there even a safe
Okay.
way to lay up? Because you don't want to...
I think if you gave me $1 million and 1,000,000 tries, I don't know if I could ever replicate that. I don't think I could ever do that.
Mm-hmm. Summed up perfectly by, oh, okay. That's the best reaction just from the commentator. Some people were saying that she was not holding onto the putter hard enough, and that as she came back, the wind literally just took it out of her hand.
Which I think might be the case, but I think that also might be one of the reasons why maybe her putting has struggled, is she's not gripping the disc hard. I've never had a disc ever fall out of my hands because of the wind. So I don't know. It might have been also maybe changing her grip from a putt to a throw, and she didn't really know what to do, and kind of was like, but oh man, when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, it's already so windy. And now you're just having that. I mean, that just, shout out to everyone that played in that weather. That weather is not easy to play with at all. And I think the last thing we got to talk about, and I think you kind of posed this as a question, is Nicholas Antala the best non-American player we have ever seen? The guy ends up going over there and wins by like 20. He shoots 32 under par. Second place is in 16 under par. You know, I was thinking Mari Vilma was going to be the guy to like make a move. I don't know what happened at this tournament. You have to scroll way too far down to see this guy's name. Maybe he's not good in the wind. He shot 12 over par. He didn't even make it to the final round, shooting 12 over par. I thought he was going to be the next guy to kind of push the Europeans.
I picked him for second in this event, and he just did not show up.
I think we're safe to say Nicholas is the greatest non-American player we've ever seen. I think he's starting to separate himself quite a bit from everyone else.
There is one name that I didn't think about because we treat him like an American. Simon Lizotte.
I think he's better than Simon. He's more consistent.
All right.
I think Simon's ceiling might be equivalent to Nicholas. I think with Simon's playing at the top of his level, I think Simon's probably had a better career head to head, I'd say Simon's probably had a better career than Niklas right now, if you just want to judge the two. But if we're going solely on skill level this year, you got to give the nod to Niklas. This guy's going to be in contention at either both majors or one of them. He's gonna be on lead card at one of these majors at least.
Well, yeah, he's young. He's gonna be doing this for a while.
He's just that good. Now we go to one of my favorite videos of the year so far. I saw this and I had to give a good chuckle because this is very European. This is a spotter from that same tournament, and this is the most chill spotter I have ever seen.
She ripped it though. Props to her. That was a laser beam.
I almost killed him.
I almost killed him. He didn't care.
It's way too close.
You did see it the whole way?
Yeah.
You were like,
Yeah, I just hoped it didn't hit me.
You guys are used to flying discs around here.
Yeah.
Thanks for your help.
All right, so now you can see what you're looking for. Look at this. The thing is it was going for his head too, Gary. It wasn't like a mid-sec. It wasn't like if it would have hit him, it would have hit him in the stomach. It would have like straight up hit him in the chin.
Yeah, we were woken up the next day. I mean, we need to get him to be teaching American spotters how to avoid discs.
Crazy. Now we just need to put him in a Jedi costume, and we'll be set to go. All right, let's talk a little bit about this. A big thing that a lot of people were talking about this week was the WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, will be testing at the 2025 Pro Worlds in Finland. The WADA is the WADA protocol tests for many substances, including cannabinoids, which is basically just weed, marijuana. Prevailing medical knowledge is that a urine test can detect cannabinoids up to 30 days after use. Players were notified of this 33 days before the World Championships. So, they got 3 days to do whatever they want to do before they got to figure it out. I have a couple things here. The first one is, I'm looking at some other professional leagues. The NBA no longer tests for marijuana. The NFL has now reduced penalties and only tests in a 2-week window in the offseason. The MLB removed it back in 2019. What marijuana is now compared to what it was in the past has changed significantly. And a lot of these pro leagues have also changed the rules to match that. It is kind of a crazy rule that you can legally, recreationally use in a lot of states, but you can get drug tested for it and it'd be an issue. Now, I know there's some rumors that they're trying to get in the Olympics and they have to follow the Olympic rules, and that's why they're getting involved and all this stuff. I think it's weird. I think it doesn't make sense to me. Now, should players show up drunk to their rounds? No. Should players show up high to their rounds? No. But if a player wants to do something in their own time and show up to work and be good to go, ready to go, I don't know if we really should be getting involved in all of that. What's your take on this, Gary?
The wording of everything is so interesting because I think a lot of people jumped onto the PDGA of like, why would they do this? And then if you look at the wording, it kind of feels like they are being compelled to do this, but it definitely is strange. I mean, the whole argument of it being legal in certain states, when you jump across the pond into foreign waters, it doesn't really matter what states do what, because you're playing by, European rules, and not every country over there is tolerant to stuff like
Sure.
use of cannabis and stuff like that. So you have to be conscientious of that. I know, like also along with the Olympics, they talked about disc golf being a part of the World Games this year, and just trying to create this general level of consistency. I'll be curious to know more about whether or not this is something that the PDGA is like being a champion of in the background, or is it like, guys, our hands are tied, we have to do this. I've heard a lot of varying opinion as to how serious this is going to be, whether it's something along the lines of you can't be using anything at all, period, or people just saying you can't be using anything during the round and you could be tested basically until you get off the course. And then, it's not necessarily the whole week you're there, you have to be clean per se, but yeah. I don't know. I don't know enough about that to really, tell you that or not.
And this is where I find it interesting, is because, I did a little chat GPT because I was curious. Mm-hmm. I was like, why do pro leagues, why do they drug test? Like, why do they care? And the things that came up were fairness, right? They want everyone to be on the same skill level. And, to that, you can kind of say, well, everyone could take steroids if they wanted to, right? Everyone can go to the gym if they want to. Everyone can eat better if they want to. Everyone can work out if they want to. At the end of the day, like, really, the fairness level would be it's not like I don't believe steroids, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, I don't think steroids are illegal. If I wanted to go and take steroids, I think I could, just if I just wanted to, right? It's now if I want to compete in a professional league, now it becomes illegal to take steroids, but I can just do steroids in my own personal use. And so, like, that's kind of weird to me, because it's like the fairness, like, well, everyone can do it. So technically it would be fair if you just allowed everyone to do it. It's their decision. Now, the questions, anabolic steroids are illegal. Okay.
Mike would know. Now,
shout out to PJ Mike. Are there steroids that are TRT? Okay. So there are certain ones that are legal, certain ones that are illegal. But the second part makes sense to me, right? And that is reputation. They have a brand identity, and also safety. That's another thing. These leagues need to look after their players. They don't want them to be doing stuff that could potentially harm them down the road, right? So that all makes sense. So it's like, all right, we got to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, on the alcohol side, the weed side, again, I think makes very sense. Probably you can't show up drunk, hungover, wasted, high, whatever you want to call it, to practice, to games. You're going to get suspended. You're going to get fined. Can't do that. That makes a whole lot of sense. I'm there. I'm with you. So you want to make it fair. You want to make it you want to make it legit. Makes sense. The weed side, it's not an advantage. People aren't getting an advantage smoking weed a week before a tournament. Now, smoking it during a tournament, sure, right? Like, maybe they're like, hey, there was people that I knew that smoked because it helped them reduce their anxiety, or they were stressed out and they smoked. So I could see that being the same case on disc golf, right? I'm getting anxious. I'm getting nervous. It's the final round, whatever. I need a smoke to reduce that. Yes, that right there is an advantage. That shouldn't be allowed. I get it. But why are we letting people use headphones?
Yeah, I mean, or other things. I'm curious for players who, I mean, I don't know anyone who uses these, but I'm sure this stuff kind of happens. But like things like Aderhold or focus enhancers, other things that could be tested. But stuff outside of that are
So it's like
headphones.
The headphones thing is the same thing. Is like, yes, everyone can use it. Everyone can wear headphones if they want. Same thing. Everyone can smoke weed if they want. Everyone can do drugs if they want. But they decided that they're not going to allow that. So why do they allow headphones?
The only argument that I'll definitely make there is that there is a difference between a piece of equipment that generally most people consider to be not a problem to use anywhere, whereas narcotics and illegal substances,
you're talking about
there's a perception difference between those two things.
You're talking about but now mine kind of goes back to like the brand and the image of like the image of a bunch of people wearing headphones playing a professional sport is silly. It looks stupid.
Yeah, and that's definitely its own conversation that I agree with.
So that doesn't line up to me. And then the other thing, the other kicker, and we're gonna get into this. Maybe we should get into this now. Is we had a question call and they said, this is kind of in line with the PDGA board changing, but having, people, it's the whole, it's the whole not protecting the female division, right? Yeah. Like that's where this is opens a big can of worms, because now you're saying, disc golf is saying, hey, we're cracking down on drugs. We don't want people doing steroids. We don't want people having these advantages. And yet we're not cracking down on protecting the female division, right? Those things, it doesn't seem to add up. Now, with that being said, I want to go into this. It says, with the PGA board changing in the 2023 agreement they have with Natalie Ryan ending, which I didn't know that actually is ending soon. So that's interesting. And in the wake of multiple other governing bodies successfully excluding males and female divisions, should the incoming board members push to exclude males from all female divisions in 2026? Now, someone responded to this question, said, I had an email from the PGA a couple days ago. I replied to quite a lot of the membership emails saying I will renew when the FPO is female only. They can't afford to stop the cheats. So this is the PGA's response to this guy's or this girl's email to them. It says, thanks for writing. We understand this is a divisive issue with strong opinions on all sides. Please note that the PGA's eligibility criteria for gender-based divisions are the strictest available under applicable law. As the board of directors said in their statement of December 22nd, 2023, the PGA is not financially or logistically in a position to take the lead in multi-state litigation on this topic. It is not in the best interest of our members to continue to allocate resources to further litigation. Litigation against the PGA occurred when the PGA had a stronger stance in 2023, and accordingly, the PGA lost court cases. Under the terms of our legal settlement, the current policy will stay in place through at least December 31st, 2025. So unless the law changes, the current policy will likely stay in place thereafter, where we therefore intend to focus our resources and efforts on many other pressing issues and opportunities in our sport. Again, the only way the PGA could take a stronger stance is applicable law changes on the state and federal levels. So I guess my question first is, how are these other leagues and athletics and stuff, how are they able to prohibit it? These other governing bodies, but the PGA can't. What do you know? Do you have a reasoning for that?
I mean, you can see just in the response, they highlighted specifically applicable laws, because it comes down to whatever law is the governing body behind what decisions are made. So for a long time, a lot of places just leaned on whatever the IOC said, because it was a very easy way to sort of almost Pontius Pilate, wash your hands of the matter and just kind of put it on another governing body. But because some of the ones that are making these big decisions, number one, they're backed by much deeper pockets than the Pro Tour and the PDGA have access to, but they're also not, I don't think any of them have reached a point where they line up with what legally the PDGA or the DGPT can do when it comes to limiting, protecting the female division. So first of all, I'm not an attorney. This isn't legal advice. And maybe this is a good opportunity to eventually get like discgolf.law on here.
Yeah.
For him to
see
talk
what's
about it.
possible. What it's going to look like in the future after December 31st.
But yeah, it all comes down to precedents and what law exists there to begin with and what you can apply things to. And I just don't think anything's changed outside of the sport closely related to the sport for them to launch off of. And unfortunately, if they try to go and fight it again, I think they're going to be in a very similar situation financially until something bigger breaks somewhere else.
So Folson Disc Golf just put in the chat, they said, these are all the organizations that have done it: World Athletics, Track and Field, Distance Running, FINA, Swimming, Union Cyclists International, Cycling, World Rugby, USA Powerlifting, LPGA, England Hockey, CrossFit Games. Seems like a lot. It doesn't seem like a bunch of big boys either.
Hmm.
I don't know how much money swimming is the FINA is getting over there.
Yeah. The question is which law, like it comes down to whatever applicable law they're assigning themselves to, and whether or not there are,
sure,
entities that are willing to get into their corner and help. Because remember, it was a case of one side having access to a lot of pro bono legal assistance versus, the Pro Tour
funds for the PGA.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's a good segue. You actually wanted to know, hey, the PGA board elections are active. They're coming up. As much as we love to hate the PGA, is voting for board members something we should be doing to make meaningful change? I'll let you answer your own question here first, Gary.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up because I know we tend to poke fun at the PDGA a lot. And there's always the sentiment of, well, if you don't participate in trying to, make the change within whatever you have a problem with, and you don't get to have a say in what happens or debate about it. I disagree with that second point. We're always able to have logical discourse about how something works. But if we have an opportunity to look at the candidates, and there are some that really line up with where we think the sport needs to go, we would be missing an opportunity to put that person in a position to make meaningful change. So it's like, while I'm not saying you have to dive into every single candidate, but they do put a public profile out for every candidate there. You should take a look at them and you should take a vote. There are some people there who are non-establishment people who've never been on the board before, who are looking to advance technology within disc golf and try to do things a little bit different than what they've done. Someone wants to create a player's bill of rights, which is really, really interesting. One person wants to get more involved with international stuff. One person's more aligned with the amateur side of disc golf and the growth of the sport and kind of taking it in that direction, saying that the pros should be here and that the PDGA should be more about growing the sport, nationally and internationally. So I think there's a person for every type of opinion, but I think we'd be missing an opportunity if we didn't go in there and vote, even though largely there is a perception that the PDGA will still do whatever it wants to do. So
that's my question. What does it actually let's just say I somehow get elected and I'm now on the board of elections. What can I do?
You can at least have
can I actually change? Can I do stuff?
I don't know what you can do specifically, and I'd love to see the PDGA talk about what their board members are able to do from like a functional perspective.
Like, is it just a sounding board?
But at least your voice in the room. If the room is if the room is an echo chamber, nothing gets accomplished. So at least if there's somebody in there who can start to provoke change and discussion, it's something. It's
but
like,
why does my voice all of a sudden matter by being in that board versus saying what I say on this podcast?
It's because I would say largely, I'm not going to say you're the only voice that's ever mattered in disc golf, but disc golf was a very big echo chamber before voices like yours and others came into the sport. And even though we're sitting here talking into microphones off into, the internet, those voices matter in terms of creating discussion within the sport. And maybe if somebody on that board's voice is able to change someone's opinion, that might matter. So it's like, if you have the opportunity to do it, you should. And in this case, it's a free, easy thing to do, to go on and just take 2 minutes to read a profile and vote for somebody who you think might make meaningful change.
Yeah, maybe we need to get someone on that actually tells us what goes on, because nothing would make me more annoyed than going to a meeting for like an hour and like saying, hey, these are all things I think need to get done. And then someone else being like, nah, we're just going to do it the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
No,
I totally get that.
At that point, then it's just a sounding board, and it's just like, oh, look, we let you guys vote people in to the, like, you guys have a say, but ultimately they don't. They're just going to do whatever they want. So,
but
I don't know if that's the case, but
if more people do vote and they still do what they want anyway, but maybe at least then people will wake up to the reality of maybe we need to change, and it's something other than the PDGA.
We need someone that's been on the board to come out and be like, this is what goes down, and this is what needs to change. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know. All right. All right. Let's do a little tour life versus grip lock pick'em. So here's the thing, guys. Last week, I don't know why, but grip lock decided to take a little break. So we thought it would be only fair, since they didn't make any picks last week, that they just had the same picks for this week. And, you know, hey, they got Hall and Hanley there, second place. Pretty good. What I find fascinating here is no one picked anyone in the top 10 on MPO.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But we did get Cadence. We did get the winner. So we're up over 100 points on these guys now. Holy smokes.
Yeah. The big miss was Evan Smith for $1.
That would have been a wild pickup.
That would have been a crazy
pickup. So we're gonna pick this week. Yuli's not here. He didn't send in picks, so me and Gary is gonna let it rip. With our picks this week. Let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah, good number of names out there for this one.
All right, let's go FPO first. There's only 41 people in the field. So not a lot of players in the field of this tournament.
This one's going to be about picking the winner. That's going to be the big thing here.
Can I get
essentially is it going to be Kristin, Silva, or Evelina who's going to win this event?
Yeah.
And the thing go ahead.
I was just gonna say the thing is do we put all our eggs in the basket? Now Kobe Bryant has a pretty awesome quote. I don't know if you know this or heard it, but he says, all those people that tell you not to put all your eggs in one basket, they're idiots. When you run out of eggs, just make more.
Make more.
Which is kind of a fire quote.
That's right.
Kind of a fire quote. Got me fired up, that's for sure. So the question is, do we put all our eggs in one basket and go Kristin, or do we spread the wealth a little bit and go like Evelina and Silva?
I think realistically, the winner has to come from those three. Don't you agree? I mean, I feel because you got no Missy in the field.
Yes, the winner's
Holland's
coming
not
from those
there.
three.
So you get two of those three if you go with the double $4 option of.
We're going
Evelina.
Silva and Evelina.
So, yeah, you have a 67% chance of getting the winner there.
We're
Plus,
going
I feel like if anything, that's what they're gonna do. So no matter what, you box them out.
Yeah, we're going Silva, Evelina. And then our $2. Give me. Who's all there? Paige is there.
Paige is there. You got Anakin.
Hannah's there. Anakin's not even the $2 spot. She's in the $1.
Yeah, she's a $1.
Is Hannah there? Hannah's not a bad pick. She's there. She's playing now. She's not playing. All right. I mean, I think we gotta go Paige.
Yeah, I mean, it's a course with a lot of ability to throw far. This is isn't this the course we're crossing the bridge? She broke her leg. So
yeah, redemption.
Yeah, redemption.
All right, we'll go Paige. So Evelina, Silva, Paige, MPO side. Ooh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh gosh. I mean, is he possible to have back-to-back bad tournaments?
It feels rare. Has he played over it at the PCS Open before?
No.
Yeah.
Give me Paul. He plays this tournament. He won it last time.
Mm-hmm.
This is for PCS Open. All right, let's go Paul and Ricky.
Yeah, I like that. Go old school here.
Yes.
Ricky skipped a week. He's
traveling. He's been over there already.
Mm-hmm.
I like Paul and Ricky here. Paul and Ricky.
Yeah.
$2 spot.
Sneaky Kyle Klein, maybe? Or
I don't hate Kyle Klein.
Even is Hamas is playing coming off of a hot week too.
I'm scared of the Hamas pick.
Yeah,
I'm scared of the Pans. I mean, it could go anywhere.
Yeah. Kyle's the first one that jumps at me visually. It's not because he's in the upper left spot.
Give me Kyle. Let's do it. Let's go. Yeah, I like it. Ricky, Paul, Kyle. Do we keep Paul or do we put Nicholas in there?
Do
we swap out? Do we swap out Paul for Nicholas? I mean, Nicholas not going to make a top 10 here. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say he just victory lapped everybody. He's coming off of a
switch him out. Switch him out.
Yeah, let's do it.
What's the that is that what you're supposed to always do with the let's make a deal? You're always supposed to switch it. Yep. Always switch it. We're going Nicholas. Better percentage. All right, there's our picks. Take them. All right. Couple of listener questions to finish out the episode. What an episode it's been. Thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate all you guys. This comes from someone. He says, you look great in the last 2 rounds. When's your next event? I've got Idlewild, Ledgestone, and D-Glow. Those are the last 3. If I don't qualify for USDGC at those 3, I'll be playing the Monday qualifier with Hunter and Trevor over in Rock Hill. What happens to a disc mold after it's discontinued? Are they retooled and renamed, sold or leased to other manufacturers, or is there an island of misfit molds? So a little bit of everything. The one thing I don't think that's happening is I don't think they're sold or leased to other manufacturers outside of their umbrella. So you'll have like Discraft maybe will move something over to DGA, or back when Innova was making Discmania discs, you could see something like that. Some of them are retooled and renamed for sure. And there are some that just haven't been used in forever and maybe have been forgotten.
There is an island. It's next to the Snake Island off of Brazil.
This is a question for everyone. Mike, you got to answer this too. Strawberry jam or raspberry jam?
Strawberry.
Okay. Mike? Strawberry? Man, all right. I guess I'm in the minority there. I'm going raspberry.
Yeah, they're both great, but strawberry.
I think the thing is, it's jam. I think I'm going strawberry jelly, but I think the jam, I go raspberry jam because jam's different than jelly.
What about preserves?
Grape. I'm going grape for preserves.
I feel you on that.
Now I'm getting freaking hungry. Okay, question. We have a video, I think, of a little flyover here of hole 17 at the European Disc Golf Championship. They want to know with the extreme wind, was hole 17 a good design? So we're talking course design here, European Open. This one played out. I think it was the video that we saw them kind of struggling putting on. This is what I boil down to. I don't think you should ever design a course with the idea of, well, what if it's windy? Or I think you got to design a course the way it plays.
To see how this whole...
Oh, here you go. So this is hole 17. So it's like a dog leg to the right, but it's only 282 meters to the basket. So it's not that long of a hole, or that's feet actually. It's 86 meters, excuse me. So it is a very short hole. Yeah. You got plenty of room to land it out on the right. I like it because the basket's tucked on the left. If you want a closer putt, you got to risk. It's, it's really similar to, for those that are watching, very similar to hole 1 at Memorial. That's exactly what this hole is. It's hole 1 at Memorial. Yep. Very similar. I love it. I like it. It's hole 17. It's down the stretch. Make a good throw or don't.
It's always looming.
It's up to you. So Finland wants to test the athletes for drugs. We talked about that earlier. What's your favorite and least favorite hole at Pickard? Do you have one, Gary? Favorite and least favorite hole at Pickard?
I think I really liked it's tough to pick between 17 and 18. I like them both. I liked 18 as a finisher. Least favorite, probably the one, I can't remember which one it is, where you're throwing, there's like a group of trees, it's a par 3, you're trying to bend it left to right, and it kind of sits back. It's
13.
It's elevated.
13.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm a fan of that one.
Kind of a blind shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a hole for me. I don't hate that. I think I would probably have to put least favorite. I'm probably going to have to go with 8 because I think it's the hole that needs the most work. I think it could be a really great par 3, but it's kind of just, I don't know. You see really bad shots still get par there, and you sometimes see shots that almost were good go into the woods. It's tough to get up and down from there. And it's a tough birdie. I don't love the score separation on that hole. I think you could make it a really great hole. For example, like hole 9, it's like half the distance, and that's an incredible hole. You're throwing straight up the hill. We're very rarely ever having to do that. Nose control is so important. So easy to fade out left. Some people are throwing flex forehands, turnover backhands. Great hole. And it's just a completely different contrast to hole 8. I think hole 8 could be awesome. Hole 8 would be insane. Imagine if you had a man-made lake short of that basket.
Yeah.
And you're just having to throw over that water. What a shot that would be. But unfortunately, they don't have it. So I would say hole 8. Favorite hole, probably going to have to go with, you might not think about it, hole 15, I think, is a beautiful hole for 2 shots that you're not even throwing over 350 feet.
Yeah.
That shows you right there that you can have a challenging par 4 without crazy distance.
Yeah,
and how do you do it? L shapes, baby. L shapes.
L shapes. Should have known.
All right. Let's see here. This is a funny question from Freddie. I got to ask it. What happens first? Brodie wins or the FPO comments are turned back on? That's a great question.
Or GTA 6 gets made. Well, that's probably going to be the thing that happens first.
I was going to say, what's that Titanic thing where she's like, I waited 96
It's been 84 years.
It's been 84 years. That's the perfect answer to that question. All right, final question of the episode. And if you guys want to ask questions, I haven't really shouted this out in a while. So make sure you follow me over on Twitter, Brodie Smith 21. Also follow Tour Life on Twitter. Gary, PJ, and Mike might start cooking up some tweets coming soon. So go over to Twitter. That's normally when we ask you guys to send in your questions. If you have any questions, go over there. That's where we pull them from. Do you think disc golf, Gary, will be taken seriously as a sport?
Yes and no. By some people, it's already taken very seriously. By mainstream people, maybe not for a long time. I think we have a lot of work to do in disc golf to get it to a point where it can be taken seriously. I think it's a sport where if you get people to sit down and experience it, they can understand it. But seriously, it's tough. I want it to be there. I really want it to be there. But I think we're a long way from being taken seriously by like a wider scale.
Yeah, I think we're headed, like, the highest potential we have as far as how people view us is like golf or like NASCAR, where you're going to have some people that are diehards and they're like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But then you're also going to have a lot of sports fans that's like, that's not really a sport. They're not going to look down on it and say like, that's super lame. I can't believe you play golf, or, oh my gosh, you like NASCAR. That's super lame. But in the arguments about sport, not sport, people are going to be like, that's not really a sport. I think that's probably the best bet we got. All right, folks, it is time to announce the biggest event for 2025. It goes down July 11th. Make sure you do not miss it, folks. We are seeing the Kelsey versus Connor Ace Challenge. And if you want to be a part of it and you want to be there live, it is July 11th, hole 20 at Falling Creek Park in Lynchburg, Virginia. We will be getting some, I guess, more information to come as far as like what time. It looks like right now it's scheduled for 12 Eastern, noon Eastern. We do have a link for the live stream, which I'll put in the chat right now.
Hole 20 at Falling Creek.
Yep. So we're gonna make
Wow.
our own tee pad. So it won't be the I don't know if that'll actually link. I don't know. You guys might have to copy that. But that is the link to the live stream. Ooh, we got votes up. If you guys want to vote in the poll, who wins, Kelsey or Connor, go ahead and vote down below. But it'll be hole number 20. It will be a live broadcast. So if you can't make it out there, completely understandable. Live broadcast will be on the Foundation Disc Golf channel. Make sure you're subscribed to that. Going down at noon on July 11th. I don't know if we're going to have commentators or how it's going to go down. I'm sure it'll be a good old time. And I am putting $500 on the line to the first person to ace. And I'm sure, trust me, Kelsey wants nothing more than to spend money. So
who do you got, Brodie? What are you feeling? Bias aside.
Here's the thing. Hole 20 is wide open.
Yep.
You can throw whatever shot you want. I don't know what Connor's strategy is. Kelsey is going to throw the same disc every single time, and she's going to get dialed in pretty quickly. If Connor's messing around, throwing like some putters and then some overstable stuff, I don't know. Now the real question is, can Kelsey get an ace before her arm gives out? I think that's the big question.
In the first 50 throws, I've got Kelsey, but after we get past 50 throws, that's where I start to lean towards Connor.
Yeah. Now the question is it going to be close enough and open up a space to where Kelsey can switch to some backhands? We'll see. But it should be an electric show. So make sure you guys show up for that. Right now, we've got 59% of the votes saying Kelsey, 41% of the votes saying Connor. Should be good to go. I don't think we missed anything tonight. Nope. We nailed it all. Big thanks to our guest Ezra for coming on tonight. Make sure you guys, if you haven't yet, go over to his Instagram, flood his DMs, congratulate him. I'm sure he will appreciate when he wakes up in the morning. Gary, thank you for filling in for Yuli tonight. PJ Mike crushed it as always. Appreciate you. And thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you guys next week.